Man, yeah, just wear the beanie. That's it.
That's pretty solid. I feel good about that. That's a good way to start this. Get the attitude up high, you know.
Good trade 2 J's if you could become Wolverine.
Where are you getting all this information?
I definitely heard some rumors about it. Are you still going? I get goosebumps thinking about it because it's like you can hear them get.
The car, I was going to qualify and I was going to drive that out the racetrack.
Just threw the hood over the ditch and
longest employee of Knox.
You did some digging there, huh?
Hey, if you're watching this on video, look at the screen right now. Yeah, a little different, right? What do we think? If you're on audio, it's time to head over to YouTube and take a look because I'm not going to tell you what's going on here. But thoughts? Maybe? I don't know. Leave a comment. But you can't get this yet unless, maybe we get a whole bunch of people that ask for it. But what you can get, one of these. You can get your very own teal toque. Head over to shopfd.com. Use podcast24 at checkout. Save yourself 20%. Like I said, these aren't available yet, but I'm thinking about it. What do we, I talked about bringing back bucket hats, but maybe? I don't know. Yeah, all you audio people, head over to YouTube. You'll see what I'm talking about. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Outerzone, the official podcast of Formula Drift. My name is Jacob Gettins, and today we've got Hooman Rahimi. I'm not going to lie, every time that I hear your name or have to say your name, I always go back to that song like, I'm only human. I know you probably get that all the time, but it's like every single time I want to sing that song. So
it's a good song, though. Yeah.
Yeah. You make music in my head. Just know that.
That's the way I like to live. I live rent-free in your head, right? That's how that saying is.
Probably more often than most people would know, and probably more often than I want to admit.
Yeah, there you go. I get the memes of the Hooman memes, sent to all my social medias all the time. Just, the animal, like the Hooman, they're calling
I'm Hooman now. Yeah.
Yeah, like, look at me, I'm a Hooman,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually shocked how many Hooman Rahimis are out there. I didn't realize how popular of a name it is.
It's a common name. It's kind of funny. It's it's just not common in the US, but in Iran, the name is Iranian. It's a Persian name. It's it's as common as Abbott. You don't know very many Abbotts, but a
handful of them.
Yeah, I don't know if that's just a random name I picked out of my hat right now, but something like that, where it's enough. I know, personally, I know 2 other Hoomans. I met one in Atlanta, was a car guy. It's really funny, So yeah,
that's interesting. I think I might have stumbled upon him in research because I found a Hooman that's a civil engineer, a Hooman Rahimi that's a civil engineer, and then a Hooman Rahimi who's a professional translator who very much looks like a very skinny you, and that's not a fat joke. That's just he is a very skinny man. I was like, hang on,
what if it is me? It's me from 20 years ago.
Yeah, so I was I'm wait a minute. It was I wonder if Hooman was a professional translator at one point in time.
I speak Farsi, but not well enough to be a professional translator. I would butcher it. I get messages in Farsi sometimes, from fans in Iran, and I have to read it a second year grade level. It's very slowly. I'll draw it because they don't. We don't use vowels in Farsi.
Yeah.
So you have to know the word to read the word. It's kind of weird. They're the vowels can be written, but they don't get written, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So, and you have to certain kind of I guess in a similar way that English uses silent letters a lot, where it's
Sort
you don't necessarily, but obviously backwards.
Yeah.
Where we add shit.
Imagine you were writing the word without any vowels, right? And you wrote hand. It could be hound. Yeah. It could be hand. It could be, I don't know what other, I can't think of another one. It could be a lot of things. So in the context, you can figure it out, but they don't think about it. They just read it and they know, but it's it's just, that's how it is. There's literally, and then sometimes mistakes happen, with younger people that are learning Farsi or don't know it that well. They're
interesting.
Yeah. So.
Huh. Yeah. It's how everybody names their companies in the last 5 years. They just take the vowels out of it. Now it's edgy and new and yeah. A nail salon called HND, and you're hand, got it. Yeah. Or hound.
Or hound.
Yeah.
Hind.
Oh, man. So how's, I know how your season's going points wise, but how's your season going generally, like how are you? You've been in this car for a few years.
Yeah.
It feels like you like when you're on, you're definitely on, and then you just have these like moments where like it's about to come together, and then something crazy happens.
This season's been going pretty well. The car's been pretty okay. I mean, we've had like St. Louis is probably the worst the car's ever been in terms of problems. We had an electrical problem where I think we've diagnosed it as far as we're buying $600 of wiring to like redo power wires because the logs were showing in full throttle, it was at 50% because electric throttle. So like when I was full throttle in certain parts of St. Louis track, it was not opening more than 50%, which I drove around and like, you know, I'm not one of the drivers like, oh, the reason I lost is because, you know, whatever. Like I drove around it, but obviously that would have made it easier to, you know, drive the car if you're hitting full throttle and it actually does full throttle. So that was probably the worst we've had. And I think it's just the degradation of the wiring over, because those wires are probably like a little over 2 seasons old now. So I think it just got hot. I mean, it gets so hot in that engine bay with the turbo. It's like crazy. So that's like the only real issues kind of we had, you know, this year so far. Other than that, car's been like really like knock on some wood everywhere. Like it's been great. We've not really had to do a lot of setup. Really like the challenge has been, I've been trying to push myself to set up the gearing a lot more and we just don't get practice to do it. And that's kind of like, it's a little annoying, you know, it's like I know, like I'm leaving most of the events thinking like, man, I kind of wanted to try this, but I don't want to risk not getting the lap in to try it. Cause I mean, like for St. Louis, we had 1 lap in the first practice session because there was the Kelsey, you know, wrecked
the board flag.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, and like it happens. It's just part of it. And then, you know, we got maybe 3. I want to say it was like 4 laps in the second session, maybe something like that. So it was like maybe at most like 6, which is like enough to dial in a little bit, but not enough to like, you know, really like put, especially if you're changing gears. Because if you change gears, you might be like a trashed run, you know. And I had 2 of my runs. I was in the chase and they got trashed because the lead driver made, you know, some sort of mistake, or like maybe they were also doing the same thing where they were testing gears and it was like there was just, you know, things happen. So it's just kind of part of it. So it's like with 48 drivers or 46, I think, the practice session didn't get longer. So that's kind of like one of the hard parts, but we work around it. We've driven the tracks, fortunately. So
yeah. I mean, go back to the 16, like only 16 driver days where, you know, there was like 28, I think. On grid at that point, and 16 to qualify. A
different kind of challenge, right? Just to qualify. Right. I remember like Orlando, you know, tied for 16th place and edged out by like the tiebreaker, you know, like that sucks.
Like a style point or something.
That's like the worst feeling ever. It's like, all right, we're going home because of, you know, a tiebreak, you know, and it's like you look at the runs and you're like, it's like this. Is like, I mean, I get it. It's like I'm happy that we're in the seating bracket and top 32. All that is definitely a good move and in the right direction for, in my opinion, you know, all around.
The seating's been really good. I mean, I see now that, you know, obviously now that we've got half a season on it, like I see a couple of faults with it, but I think at the end of the day, those small faults are made up for in other ways. And like, for sure, it's just a change. It's just different, right? Like it's just cool. We have something new to talk about. It's not the same event that we've had for almost 20 years. Like, something completely different.
That's the thing. You know, you could pick one thing and say, oh, well, the drivers are not getting seated based on, you know, what they're doing, right? Mm-hmm. And yes, that's accurate. But then what are you gaining? You know, what are you're losing that, but you're gaining, you know, more battles, more like actual tandem practice because you're not worried about qualifying. Like that was the biggest thing in Pro Spec. The chase line would always be empty before qualifying. It would be like 0 drivers in the chase line because they knew if they don't dial it in, they don't even make the show. So it's like, what's the point? Right.
Why would you even get in the chase? Right?
Yeah. Like you're like, why am I going to waste a run? Especially when you got like 5 laps or 4 laps, you know, you're like, I'm going to make every lap count and I'm going to sit in line, you know, so that would be like a big thing. So that's, it's just one of the gains. So I've seen a lot more people like happy to be in the tandem lane early, because it's like, okay, yeah, let's start, So I think we're going to see that in Utah too. Like people are not going to be as hesitant, to chase early. Yeah.
The lead line is always busier, which I think is kind of funny because like realistically, everybody, even at the pro spec level, like you all know how to drive, you all know how to put down a decent lead run. Yeah. It's really the chase that ends up making or breaks it. Yeah. So when I see that, I'm like, guys, like why? In the fans' view, right? Like, and anytime you're like, that driver killed it, you're never talking about their lead lap, right? Like if you see someone kill it, it's because they killed it in the chase. Not like judging, like take judging out of it. Just as a spectator, as a viewer, you want to see badass chases, period. Like if you can't chase like a badass, no one gives a shit. Like that's really like, it's like that guy's really good in the lead. Cool. Like move on, like no one cares. Well, and realistically, the biggest complaint, like people are like, oh, you can go drive all these other events and stuff. It's like, yeah, but you're not driving against drivers of the same caliber. For sure. And that's in the chase. That's not in the lead. Like you could go, you could go rent a parking lot, lay out all the cones exactly like St. Louis is, and run the St. Louis lead line. Until you run out of tires. Yeah. But you don't have the opportunity to chase somebody in that same layout. Like, who do you call to be like, hey, I rented this lot, we're going to go run St. Louis, and I just want to chase you the whole time. Like, good luck, because now that's essentially two people you're having to pay for, yourself and someone else. Definitely. You have to hope they're as good as the people you drive against. Yeah. And to boot, like, in that, in that scenario, it's the same. But generally speaking, from my experience, the FD, like, layout is not the easiest way to drive the track. No. It's not, and I think it's designed that way. Like, I think they make it as hard as, like, it's like, you got, like, even New Jersey, which seems like the most simplest track, it's not, like, super simple. Like, you have to really do a lot of, car maneuvering to get all the way into all the zones. And we're talking about, like, good versus great, right? Like, when you're talking, like, bad versus good, it's simple. But when you're talking good versus great, like, there's a lot of nuance into the timing and, like, within the rules of what they're saying, like slow down here, don't slow down here, use braking, don't use braking. That's kind of the biggest difference that I remember, like going, like my first lap into FD coming from Pro-Am, like the run up was like super short. I'm like, oh shit. Like I couldn't get the timing down, and I didn't have a quick change back then. So it was even harder, so it was like, okay, I got to figure out how to jam through these gears, get it to speed, or like, roll in and like catch it up to speed if I couldn't because of the gearing. There were so many like things I learned early on that I didn't have to learn in Pro-Am. And you came up through MDU, didn't you? Yeah. MDU. Yeah. I think 2016, 17, 18. Okay. It's one of those. I think it must have been earlier than that because like I think my first year was 2017, if I'm not mistaken, of FD. Okay. Got it. I think so. Yeah. Because I ran the VQ for almost forever. And then I got my LS installed in like mid-season one year. And then I got my license the following year when I fully had like a full season on the V8. What's crazy too is like if you look back at MDU of that era and like the degree of drivers that came out of that is so wild to me that it's and obviously it's the era of drifting that I'm probably the most familiar with, especially like that MDU section. But like, Alec Robbins coming out of there. I think Hurst drove a few rounds there as well. Hurst, I think got his license through there. Yeah. But like when they like after me though, but like when they had like a smaller field, but yeah, he did it there. Who else? There's I mean, we could go, like I think Troy Manners, Dirk Stratton. Like just a wild field of people. Yeah. And some like OG drivers that are like Mike Pollard, Skudlarek, like Fiak, up there. Like there were a bunch of good drivers there. Like it wasn't just like, oh, like everybody's just, but the fun thing that I really loved about the heyday, right? Like the days when there was 30 drivers showing up, there was a good range of good and new drivers. And the new drivers like weren't there to win a license. They were there to have fun, and that's kind of what I think like
why it was so good is because everyone was there to drift. It wasn't like I'm chasing a license. It was like I'm just like that's why I joined. It wasn't I didn't even really honestly know what FD was. Like I kind of knew, but like not really. Like I knew of it, but I was like not like let me look up all this stuff. Like I just kind of like learned and as I went and like kind of understood, but I wanted to drive road courses. That was like I wanted to tandem. I wanted to do those things. I showed up my first ever I never tandem before I joined Pro-Am. Like that was my first time.
Crazy.
Like I was forced into like I was like I'm going to show up and learn how to tandem, and then first time I line up they're like go now. I'm like I've never
I'm not ready.
tandem before, but okay, it was I also ended up crashing, and that was my first crash. Well, not my first. I've had others, but like
you've had a few good crashes.
I had a
years,
few,
but,
yeah.
I mean, with that being said, you still did well. I mean, you won St. Louis and MDU in like 2015, and that was I think Alec Robbins was second. Well, I can't remember who was third, but
was
like,
it was Nick Thomas.
Right. Yeah, and I think you took a second as well. I want to say like it was you, Donati, and Sexsmith or something like that. Like
something
it's
like
not
that,
it's not like you didn't do well. Like it's like, oh, I want to have fun. Oh, I don't know how to tandem yet.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, I figured it out pretty quick.
Yeah.
At that time, I think you figured it out faster than the other guys who also showed up and didn't know how to tandem.
The fun thing was when I was VQ, the car just worked. Like
right.
I was able, like I would do like, I don't know, 30 laps. Like, and it kind of like in one aspect handicapped me because I didn't have the stress of having to figure it out in 5 laps, right? Like, so that part of me was like, I would say if I had been training my whole life to get 5 laps and have to lay down a run, I'd probably be better at, getting 5 laps and running down a run. But I got a lot of seat time that I normally wouldn't get. So it's kind of like a, pro and con there. So
yeah, just not having to worry about the car. And I mean, really at like the Pro-Am level, I think that's like one of the things that we've missed out on a lot, just because the technology's gotten so good, the information is so readily available that like Pro-Am drivers now are driving cars that were pro cars, 6-7 years ago, even 5 years ago. I mean, I know I've seen guys show up to Pro-Am events with full these were FD cars a couple of years ago.
It's not just that. They're showing up with spares, like a crew, all that stuff. I did my entire MDU career by myself. Like I didn't have, like every now and then I'd have like one person show up with me. But my last season by myself, I got my license without a crew. Like I changed every tire on that car. Like I remember there was one event it was so hot that I called my 5 minutes because I was like, just so hot. I was like, I can't change these tires right now. Like I need 5 minutes. Like just give me 5 minutes. Like I'm going to change my tires and just sit out for a second because it was so hot. I remember like Schiraldi was like nearby and he was like, what are you doing? I'm like, dude, I just need a break. Like
it's gonna get water.
I can't. Yeah. Like just can't do it. It was so hot, but because like, it's really hard to spend that kind of money. Like I've never been about spending money on cars. Like that's just not like, I've always been like, let me be frugal. And it was just like, let me buy good parts, not need to, like I buy things that I view as value. Like I'm all for value, right? Like if it's expensive, but it's worth it, boom, I'm there. But if it's like, in my eyes, like extra, I wasn't spending it then, like I was for sure not spending it then. Like body kits and stuff, I didn't even think about body kits. Like I was like, no, like that's not in my budget. Like not even gonna think about doing a body kit.
That's super. I mean, it's interesting because it makes me think that maybe there's an opening for I wouldn't call it Pro-Am, but like a proper grassroots competition where it's like you have one crew member, right? Like you're we limit everything by like tire and shit, which is great. But I think there's so many ways to get around the tire rules now. It doesn't make sense.
Sure.
At least at like the grassroots level. But like, what if it was you have one crew member and you are not allowed to change major parts, and like you can't have like a quick change or anything else. Like you have to run a stock diff, you have to run a stock trans.
Yeah.
You can have an angle kit, but like you're not allowed to change. You're not allowed to swap out an arm.
I think the problem is you're gonna end up just having certain cars rise to the top because it's gonna be like that car works 99% of the time, so you don't need.
It'll be vets. You'll just it'll just be all Corvettes.
It'll be vets or like, I mean, depending on the tire rules, like Z's and G's, like with the stock stuff,
but that's
would work.
But that's a grassroots of like, I mean, when I think of like a grassroots competition, that's what I would want, right?
I would love to see like a chassis competition, you know,
proper
like
spec competition,
all Z's, you know, or Z or G's, like just and the mods are alignment, you know, like that's it. Like you can do alignment and that, like basic stuff that's necessary, and that's it. The problem is you got to get enough of those drivers that are all agree and don't do the mods. And then, because like getting that all coordinated would be really hard, but that would be fun to watch. Now, I don't know if it would be fun to watch as a spectator. It would be fun to drive in. Like, I like that would probably be the really boring, unless like everybody is just dooring everyone. But I think you're going to end up seeing a lot of like, you know, just kind of gap tandems.
The way that I would see this working is it would almost have to be a track or a league, if you will, that owns all the vehicles.
Yes,
owns all the parts.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the rally competition? I think it's in Finland, where at any point in time a competitor can buy your car from you and you can't say no.
No, I haven't seen that, but
I hope it's not a fever dream, but like it was a competition. You know, all the cars are like beat to shit.
Yeah,
and at any point before the race or something, someone could come over and buy your car from you for like $500. And you have to sell it to them. So when nobody ever puts too much into it, it comes down to the driver. So like you could do that and like,
I would be so pissed. Like if someone did that, like, because it's like the setup, right? Like this the work on the car. I'd be like, man, like I finally dialed this car in and he just wants to buy, you know. I think I saw that rule in like the Lemons or the Gambler 500 or whatever. One of those has like a similar thing, but I think it's from a track officials or something where they're like, hey, your shit's not quite
there's
quite legal.
There's a bunch of races where, you know, you get docked a certain amount of time based on the parts and stuff like that, which is tough to do with drifting. But I don't know, just I think that'd be cool if you got a bunch of Z's or BMWs, E46s, you know, all stock engines, trans, diff. And, you know, if you want to go and compete, the series owns all of it. And you buy your seat and then go run the car, and that's it. Like maybe not the swap rule, but like
it, you know?
but like if you crash it, there's determined, you know, cost for everything
or whatever. Yeah. For
you know, it's pretty straightforward. Or you get
someone crashes into you, you know, like in tandem, like you get crashed.
That's the hard part, right?
Yeah, it's like this guy. I mean, do you see that hot pit flip,
bro? That's
scary.
Crazy.
Yeah, like I was like, how did he? Like, because at first I saw like a little like tiny screen grab, and I was like, I don't even understand how he flipped here. And then I saw like, oh shit, he must have just grabbed the wheel and.
He did. He ramped off the rear wheel. Like there's a good drone shot of
it. That's like flipping and drifting is like the scary. Like hitting walls and stuff. Generally speaking, unless like it's like a hard, you know, just like I've been in, you know, one of those, but
the Irwindale.
Yeah, that one hurt. But like the other, that one hurt. Like that one, I was like sore and like that one hurt. But the other ones have all been like, okay, yeah, whatever. Like let's go. You know, like no big deal. But the flips, man, that's scary. Like, I don't even know. I'm like, oh shit. Like, what do you do with your hands at that point? Do you like?
You're supposed to like grab your harness, is what I've been told.
I don't know what I would do.
Like in.
I'm, you know, like I don't know.
Oh, I'm flying in the air. Like
like I'm like, okay.
I've thankfully never rolled a race car or I've rolled one car personally.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
It was. It was an old Mazda Protege. I've owned so many of them over the years.
Street driving or track?
Street driving. I was going down. I knew the wheel bearing was going.
Oh.
And it was one of those like I heard it going and then it stopped making noise. I was like, oh, the sound went away. Yeah. And it was because it had basically just exploded.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I remember it was in the winter. The car like backed like where I grew up. Like the ditches were super deep.
Yeah.
And it was in the winter. And the car spun, went backwards into the ditch, rolled, or it like come back out or something, and then rolled. But it was very quick, so like it had almost no damage to the rest of the car. But it was
so you were like up, right side up at the end.
Yeah, and I was like,
okay,
one of those. I just closed my eyes because I'm like, I'm about to die. Like you just go to that place.
Yeah. But oh man, I definitely growing up, I had an MR2. I still have an MR2, but I had an MR2 when I was 16. There was many rainy nights where probably shouldn't have been doing what I was doing, and like definitely spun, in places that I shouldn't have spun, or like just like, it's kind of like because I would always like do donuts and stuff. So I was always running like the edge of tire limit,
Right.
So there was some nights, where it's like, because those cars, like, especially I had like a 91. So they're really bad about like snap oversteer. Like it just, once you lose it, you're gone. I mean, it made me learn a lot about cars, like, and how they, transition and stuff. But as a 16-year-old, like, no.
You don't know.
Apparently age doesn't matter though with 14-year-olds dominating, so that's not an excuse, but
yeah,
for me it was.
It's a whole other thing. It's like the seeing how young the competition's getting has been, I mean, obviously super cool and inspiring, also like a little depressing of like, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah. I find it exciting, honestly. Like, I think it's cool. I'm like a little bit hesitant though with some, because I don't think mentally they're at the same level. Like, not that they're dumb or anything, but they're just not developed, and their fear is not there, which can be scary to other drivers, right? Like, they may make a decision that other drivers wouldn't because they don't know any better, and that could end up being a bad, accident or something, and that's kind of like the only part of it that I like have a small like reservation about. But I don't think it's been like major issues that we've seen, in anything that we've seen with the drivers that are in the pool now. But I think in other grassroots, there's probably been situations that maybe came up that no one talks about, but I'm sure I did dumb stuff when I was a kid, so I can only imagine. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I know what I did when I was older. I don't care how mature you are. You know what I mean? Like, even at a certain point, like you're just less likely to make the right decision in a certain split-second decision just because you don't have like, what do they say? You stop developing like until you're 25 or something.
Yeah, I know what you're getting at. It's like their fight or flight response is not where an older person's is, or their ability to analyze the situation and understand like, oh, this isn't salvageable. Like, I need to pull out and just figure out like, drive off track kind of thing. They might throttle in and try and reinitiate or something, where it's like, no, you're about to hit somebody else or hit the wall or, go to the wrong area and put somebody in danger.
Well, and further, I mean, like, I'm reserved when I drive in a lot of situations because I can't total my car and rebuild it very easily.
Mechanical sympathy.
Like, like, I'm like, okay, let me ease into this and see where the line is and whatever, versus like, some younger drivers maybe have a good opportunity in their life that they're able to do that without as much, like on the line. You know what I mean? Like they like, if you get to drive an FD when you're 14, like, it took me till I was 30. I don't even know what age I started, but, like 33, 34 or whatever. So, and it's like, it was calculated decisions by me. Like, okay, financially, this is what I can afford and this and that. So like, if I total my car, it's like not fun.
Well, so. It's not their fault. They just have no way of understanding what 100%. That cost is, right? Like,
and that's why I'm actually like impressed by the ones that are there, because they're really like showing their maturity and stuff that it's hard to like, like, I have a nephew who's younger, and he's it's like night and day, how they are behind the wheel or behind, I've seen my nephew drive go-karts. So, I love him, but like different skill set.
Yeah, it's super interesting to see, because like we've had younger drivers before. I think people forget that, like, Ken Gucci was super young when he came over, which is kind of super cool. Like we're witnessing like a modern day Ken Gucci and Hiro Manoa.
How old was he?
I want to say 15 or 16.
Okay.
Pretty. And I mean, not that Ken's old, but like that was a few years ago.
It was.
He's definitely not 20 anymore.
Yeah.
So,
and
but
the other part is the caliber of driving. Yeah. Not Ken, but like 25 years ago or whatever, 20 years ago, I guess. 20 years ago, like the degree of win was like big, right?
Yeah.
Like you would win or lose versus now it's like let the judges rewind the tape 15 times and decide who won.
I'm always curious about that too, where like, you know, looking back on the history of the sport and stuff, and you think about some of the champions and like some of the dominant periods of different drivers, and it's like, if you were to put that dominant period out now, what level of drifting would they be at? Like, if you took Tanner Faust from his time period of crushing everybody, change nothing about it, just transplant that into modern times. Is that still a pro driver? Is that a pro spec driver? Is that a pro-am driver?
Yeah.
I don't know. And like, I don't ever want to take anything away from Tanner Faust, but like driving 10 years ago, 15 years ago is so different. Like if you want a trip, go watch FD 15 years ago, because what's considered a tight tandem is almost an incomplete now. Like,
no, it's great.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, I always like tell people, I'm like, pro-am now is what FD was maybe 10 years ago or 5 years ago. I don't know what that number is, but like something. And then pro spec is now, you know, what Pro 1 was like maybe even less than 5 years ago, but like 5 years ago. And then, Pro 1 is just like another level up there. And I think it's just getting better every event. Like you just see better and better driving, which is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the cars get crazier too, which is.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, it's not even, I mean, obviously there's like a technological thing that goes with it. There's certain electronic things that drivers and builders are able to do now, but like, it's not even that. Like, it's not like we came up with a new system that's revolutionized drifting. Like, it's all the same stuff it was 5 years ago, but the parts are stronger, so you can run more horsepower and more grip, and like, they're easier to change, or they're more attainable, or
when things break,
whatever.
they know how to like set it up to fix things quicker.
Yeah.
I mean, changing engines in hours, like it's just insane.
Yeah, dropping transmissions and swapping transmissions in 30 minutes. Like,
insane.
You know, that's just nuts to me.
I mean, I was like trying to remember. I remember like early on watching FD, I was reading an article and Gettins didn't even have an angle kit, or didn't really have angle. Back when he was like one of the top drivers, or still whatever, like dominating, and I was like, man, that wasn't that long ago, because I didn't watch FD in 2004 or 5 or 6 or whatever, whenever it started. I never watched it. I watched it, in the 14, 15 era is when I started watching it. Mm-hmm. So that's crazy. That's not that long ago if you really think about it. Like no angle kits less than 10 years ago. That's kind of crazy. Right?
Yeah,
like,
it was just like cut knuckles. Like, I
mean, it
mean,
was like just little added angle, and they're like, man, the YSAB guys have so much angle, and it's like, yeah, they do.
In comparison, it's pretty wild.
Yeah,
but it's necessary though. I mean, the way that driving is now, we're pushing the limits so hard. I mean, guys are 90 degrees to the wall in St. Louis, like going into Outerzone 4 and holding on to it and throttling through it and powering through it. And you're
crazy.
Like, this makes absolutely no sense that this is even possible.
I'm gonna learn. I got an S14 going on an Ibisu trip. I bought an S14 out there and put an angle kit on it, and I'm gonna learn S chassis angle nonsense, and see what's up there.
It might ruin you. You know that, right? Like, you're gonna come back and be like, I gotta scrap the Z. Like, I have to. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm gonna learn the hard way. I'm hoping I don't love it, because then I can't sell it. Because like the whole plan is like, to sell it, but I might end up just keeping it. We'll see. Who knows?
Yeah, I've never done the Ibisu trip. I've never been to Japan. I've been like trying to push like to find my way out there, but yeah, it's tough.
You can still come in. I'm leaving in a week.
I will. No, August for me is, dude. I mean, you can see like even in this, like I'm like 90% packed up. Like literally, my entire house is empty except for like this studio. Everything on the other side is boxes. We it's and August for me. I think I'm not traveling for 5 days out of the entire month.
Oh. That's impressive.
It's not good. But I will figure it out. I've been staring at the month of August on my calendar since January, going like, oh, this is not going to be a fun month. And then that was before we knew we were moving too. And then it was like everything starts lining up that we're moving in August. And I'm like, I have no free days to be doing this. Why am I trying to move at this time?
And yes, right. You guys have Seattle and then,
Seattle, Utah. I'm in Germany for Iron Drift King. And then I have a wedding and then another trip back to like see my parents, before I'm finally down in Florida. So,
okay.
Yeah, pretty wild. So
yeah.
Do you enjoy the road trip side of things? I know you don't?
No,
Really?
I hate it. Like if I could change anything about drifting, if they had those like futuristic trailers where you could just like press a button and it drives it over and then you fly in, that would be like my dream. Like I can make a road trip fun. You know what I mean? But I just don't love it.
Just toss it in Hawaii mode and you're good to go, right?
Yeah, I love Hawaii mode. That's my favorite. 90. Everyone in there is like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, this is primo. Like,
Can you break down what Hawaii mode is?
So on Dodges, when you put it on like 90 degrees or whatever, the highest mode, it turns into HI. So that's Hawaii mode. And my crew is like, Hawaii mode again? Like, what? So like anytime I'm driving, like, I don't know if it's cold, like if it's hot outside, I'm not putting in heat, right? But if it's like winter or any sort of like, if you need a jacket, it's just, I'm the kind of guy, like I would rather sit outside, be cold, and then come into the truck and burn myself for like an extra 3 minutes and then bring it down. You know what I mean? Like I just like sit there and bask in the heat. I'm like, yeah. I mean, it's probably like a little bit of genetics, in there. Like
back to the home country.
Yeah, like I come from a hot area, I guess. I don't know, but like I like it hot. And when I turn the heat on, I do that with cold and hot though. I'm like max cold, max hot. I'm never like set it to 70 in the car. Like in the car, max cold, max hot. That's it. Like I don't do middles.
Yeah, my house AC has been like that where I'm just like, you know what? I'm paying for it. I've like monitored the energy and I'm like, for another 10 degrees colder, it's not even that much. Like AC is going to just run.
Yeah.
It's really not that much different. So I might as well just make
until you have to
comfortable.
change the AC and then you're like, shit.
Yeah, I just actually cleaned mine out before like the home inspection. I was like, shit, it's way colder in here now. I probably should have done this like at the beginning of the summer.
Forgot about that service that's needed.
Yeah, it was like peeling a carpet off the whole air conditioning unit outside. I was like, probably.
I had mine going out recently for our heat wave, and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah,
had the AC guy come by.
Adult things. Gotta love like the joys of home ownership, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Just reminding your friends like you should get your furnace cleaned. You should probably get on that. Because last time you had your
need to clean your dryer vent.
Yes,
that's like a thing, right?
Bro, I went to a friend's house and she's like, oh, you can use my dryer for laundry. She's like, just know though, like it takes like 2.5, 3 hours to dry anything. I was like, oh, it's weird. I pulled out the dryer thing and it was like a sweater. It was like a knit sweater coming out. I was like, dude, what was that? She's like, oh, that's what that thing's for. I'm like,
I didn't know I was supposed to do that.
Oh, I could have died. I'm like, these things catch fire. Like this, you could have died. This is a huge problem.
Yeah. No, that's the.
Sorry.
Sorry. No, I was just saying, are you one of those that like when you leave the house, you turn the water off?
No, not that bad.
I do. If I travel, I turn it off. Like. Every time.
That's actually fairly smart though. All it takes is one line to break and your house is flooded.
Yeah, and you're just like, shit. It's like
fire. Yeah, fire is definitely like top of mind because my dad's a fire prevention officer, and then like both grandfathers were firemen, and like, it's just
if it happened, they'd be like, seriously?
Yeah, of all the people that get their house caught on fire.
Yeah,
exactly. Sure. Can you explain to me the joys of going to LJ's when traveling?
It's so good. It's just so good. Like, okay, this is like, I wish they would sponsor me. Like LJ's, if you're out there, come on, let's work together.
Yeah.
They have the best fast food chicken ever. Like, okay, here's the weird thing. I don't like seafood. I only eat raw sushi in terms of seafood. Like I will eat nigiri or, poke or stuff like that. And I like those things, but anything that has like even a little bit of hint of fish, like I've always hated it growing up. My like growing up phase, we would go sometimes to LJ's and, the only thing on there that I could eat was chicken, but like I would get it. I'm like, holy shit. Like it's so good. Like their batter, I don't know. It's like magical. It's so good. So like there's one on the way to Atlanta that is always like just a pit stop. It's South Pittsburgh, if anyone knows. It's near the Driven Luck track, which is a phenomenal track. You could go on the way and it's like this perfect pit stop. I go there, get my LJs. I dip it in tartar sauce, which is like weird, I know, but it's just so good. It's like the perfect, like nothing makes me happy. But there's nothing in Nashville though. That's like the annoying, like
weird.
I can only get it when I travel. So it's like I make a point to stop, you know, when I see, like, if I'm driving by and it's on the sign, I'm like, oh, I guess we're eating lunch now. You know, like,
It's 10 a.m.
It's like we just ate an hour ago. I don't care. We're getting some chicken.
Oh man.
So I love it, man. It's so good. It's
I'll make sure to hit that up.
yeah, for sure.
I'm driving everything down on Friday, so I'll try to make sure that that
Dude,
LJ's is on the trip.
It's on the South Pittsburgh from 24 to 75.
Okay.
So like, I don't know if you probably don't come through 24 unless you come through Nashville. I don't know if you do.
I can't. Yeah, I will go through Nashville this time
then you'll
just
hit it.
because.
Yeah.
There's two ways because basically I'm leaving from Detroit. There's through the mountains, which is absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
And then there's through like Kentucky, which is not great.
Yeah.
But it's much more flat, and I'm driving a 3rd-gen Dodge, which is known for having the transmissions explode.
Oh boy.
So I'm very conscientious of what I'm about to put that transmission through for 2 days.
Yeah. No, definitely stop there. It's a great stop, and there's fireworks there you can buy at any time of the year.
Fried chicken and fireworks.
Just so much fireworks there. There's like 3 fireworks stores there that just have like warehouses full of fireworks. So
all right,
do it.
I need to be fully immersed as becoming American. So I think this is
and there's a
great
Harbor Freight
introduction.
across the street. It's like the best. It's literally the best place in the world.
Yeah. Bro, I will say massive congrats on the Harbor Freight thing. I think that's a dream of many a young cheapskate.
So good. I've been on Harbor Freight like my whole life, and then finally I got to partner with them. I'm like, hell yeah. Like this is so good.
That's so huge though. Like I can't even imagine, the day that kind of went through and you're like, oh my God. Like,
oh, I was excited. Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, obviously they know their place in the market, but I've in the few times I've had to buy tools from there, I've never had an issue.
Yeah. No, dude, it's like everyone, there's some people that knock it, whatever. Yeah. And then they're like, oh, Snap-on's better. I think there are like situations where the very expensive tool makes sense, but for the average user, it's really good. Now, their new stuff is actually like really comparable, if not like sometimes better or, equal. And, the Icon series and that stuff. And it's like, and this is like before I was even, sponsored by them. So it's like, like genuine, like, I think that's why they signed me up. Cause like I talked to them and they're like, oh yeah, your whole trailer is full of like Harbor Freight stuff. And they're like, okay, like you're you're not just like saying, like, hey, I just want a bunch of Harbor Freight. Like, no, like you built this car with Harbor Freight. So.
You've already spent the money. We're just reimbursing you at this point.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. So, definitely. It's hard to. It's one of those stores though. I hate to go in because I always buy something. Yeah, like that's just one of those. Like I won't even like. I'll be like, I need some zip ties, and I come out with like $100 of stuff. I'm like, I was literally here just to buy like a bag of zip ties on my way like to work or whatever, and it just ends up like 15 other things. It's crazy.
We have a version here called Princess Auto. It's obviously not
That's
Harbor
a
Freight,
unique
but
name.
Very I know, which is
like,
it's
what
so
is that
weird.
Name?
But it's so much the same where like they have their own brands of tools. I think they're called Power Fist here, which is just the best name ever. But like, you need...
Hold on. I got to recap that. Princess Auto and Power
Fist. Yes.
No comment needed.
No, it sells itself. But like, if you need like a pickle fork or you need like a ball joint tool, like you can get a ball joint tool for like $20, and like you might get 10 uses out of it, 15 uses out of it before you have to replace it.
But sometimes all you need.
That's all you need. Like, I don't need a pickle fork that's gonna last that I'm gonna hand down to my grandchild.
Yes.
No,
like you're gonna lose it before you need it again, and be like, "Where is that, Tim?" Like whatever.
I gave away almost all of my tools. Like because same thing. Most of them I bought from Princess Auto, and I'm like, I have no problem doing this because they don't owe me anything. Like
Yeah.
You know, I had a massive breaker bar that I spent like $30 on. And I'm like,
Yeah.
perfect. All, you know, the black like impact breaker bar thing that's like 4 feet long.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have no problem giving
Yeah.
this to my neighbor because it's earned its weight.
But you lose stuff at the track. Like people borrow it, they don't give it back. I've had my trailer broken into twice, lost almost all my tools 2 times. Like that's, you know, it's just like, and then if like I had way more expensive stuff, it would have hurt even more. But luckily, like, you know, I had like reasonable stuff. Like I could replace it slowly. So it's just kind of, it's, you know, it's nice.
Yeah.
Budget.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Budget is the way to go. Value, man. It's all about value. You
I think
know,
that's the best way to put it.
That's how I live my life. Value. Like
Just
I will
value.
spend a lot of money on something if the value is there.
I like $300 on a Bill Murray painting at a jazz festival. It makes total sense.
I love that thing, man.
Dude, it's so great.
It's so good. Like that guy. He's my man.
It's funny. Out of the whole story, what I picked up was like the jazz festival thing, and I'm like, Hooman's into jazz? Like,
Dude, it's like I go to festivals. Like I don't.
Okay.
It wasn't like I love like I couldn't name a jazz artist like Louis Armstrong. You know, like that's it.
Right.
Right. Like I don't know like anyone like current or whatever. But I had some friends traveling in the U.S. like from college, like some college buddies. They were back in the U.S. to do some like traveling. Like there's a jazz festival. It's really good in New Orleans. And I looked it up. I was like, all right, let's go. And we went down. And then this was just like at an art festival. And it's so good. Like I had to buy, like, it's like I buy certain art. Like there's certain, like I buy just the weirdest, like there, I have this like devil mask that I bought in Ecuador that is just like a bunch of horns, like legit, like animal horns. I almost like should bring it over here and like show you, but it's like this crazy mask that like I was traveling in Ecuador. We stopped at this one city that had a festival once a year, just happened to be on the day that we were traveling through. And they were selling these masks and they were doing like a parade. It's like basically Mardi Gras, but with devil masks.
okay.
It's called, I think, La Diablada Festival, if I say it right. Am I not saying it right? But whatever.
It's fine.
And it was like $300 for that mask too. And I was like, okay, how am I going to back? I don't know. I'm going to figure it out. I ended up bringing it back in a dog carrier, like with a bunch of clothes around it and like carried it through. They're like, your dog can't breathe. I'm like, no, it's yeah, you're right. Let me fix that. Poke some holes. Like they thought an animal was in there.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I like
Meanwhile,
That's what I
Hooman's
do.
smuggling
Yeah.
ivory from.
No, not ivory. Okay. Oh, it's like bull horns and antlers.
I know,
and like,
just bugging you.
I don't know. It's probably not legal. Who knows? Maybe. They saw it. They knew. They knew
what's up.
Yeah.
They scanned it. They kind of pulled me in.
I told them.
Yeah.
So, it's art.
I think once you get it past the border, you're like, it should be just free game. Like I beat the game.
Yeah.
We did it. I did the thing. Why shouldn't I get to keep it?
I mean, yeah. Growing up, yeah. There was a time where we were given, we were crossing through Mexico.
Okay.
And this was as a kid. This is like a memory in my head. They like wanted our vanilla wafers, like the little vanilla wafers. There was like a family, like, I don't know. They were like, they lived like in tents or something like that. And they had like a hawk and a squirrel that they traded for vanilla wafers.
Okay.
But we got to the border, like, you can't take this. Like, oh, okay. We didn't know. So they took
Like
it.
a live hawk?
Yeah, like a live hawk. This is like 20 years, like 80, like pre-1990. I don't know what year, like very early, like 92 or something like that. So like my parents are immigrants. They didn't know there was, like rules for bringing animals across the border or anything. They're like, oh, okay, well, we only paid with vanilla wafers, so fine. Yeah.
I remember my dad taking me to a football game as a kid. Believe it or not, there is football in Canada, and arguably it's the superior football. Just upset
soccer.
everybody. No, like actual like American football.
Okay.
But Canadian football, like the field is bigger. There's a bunch of rules that actually make it more difficult.
Really?
Anyways,
okay.
So we went to go, and I must have been maybe 6, maybe 7, young enough to like where a coloring book made sense.
Yeah.
So my dad packs my little backpack, and my mom puts some sandwiches in it and shit. And then, we get into the game, And we sit down in our seats. My dad's like, hey, give me that backpack. I'm like, no, it's got my sandwich in it. Like, go away, old man. And he's like, no, give me the backpack. And I'm like, why? And he unzips it and pulls out like a whole bottle of rum. And I was like, did I just...
I thought it was coloring books.
He just like used this child to smuggle rum into a football game. I was like, bro. And now like looking back, I'm like, man, I could have done that with my kid. Like missed opportunities.
Yeah, it's like they're never gonna search the kid.
Yeah, of course not. Like, yeah.
That's a good idea. Huh.
Yeah. Just use your kid as a pack mule to smuggle alcohol into sports games. This is not advice. This is not advice. Yeah. These were different times.
These are things you should not do.
Yeah, that's all we're doing. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Good times. I will say of all the people on the grid, I do think you have found the ability to find the fun in the whole thing. Like no matter how messed up the weekend's going, you're always finding the ability to enjoy yourself. I think and this one you were more the victim of, but arguably one of the funniest FD moments is you getting locked in your hotel room by Jonathan Hurst with a ratchet strap.
Yes. And it's a forever meme now, you know, like it gets passed around as like, if your girlfriend's cheating on your boy, this is what you do, you know? And it's like, okay, that's not the real story, but yeah. It's crazy.
You guys are like the best power couple because it was just like both
it
of
was
you
fun,
love
man.
both of you love nothing more than screwing around and like pulling pranks and bets. So like just perfect.
It was good. It was really good. Like I really enjoyed like just man, I've always loved doing pranks as a kid. Like that's just been my my MO. Like I always like playing tricks on people, you know, like in a friendly like there's nothing a limit, hurtful. You know. Yeah, there's a limit, but like, you know, that's always been my thing. So it's like you know those books growing up where you could like send in, you know, $1 plus shipping and handling and get back like invisible, you know, x-ray glasses and all that. And it was always like the gum that shocks you or like the little buzzer. Like I had every toy that was like in that prank book. Like I would be like where I would spend any money that I could get is from that book. Like that, I can't remember the name of the book, but it was like some book that you would get as a kid that just had like a page of ads that kids like me would spend money on.
I do remember getting stuff like that. One was like snapping gum and it had like basically a mouse trap on it. So you pull it out and snap their thumb. I don't know why.
I've been debating, and maybe this won't come out before Utah, or maybe it will. I don't know, but
I'm not sure. It might come out right after.
Yeah, I've bbeen debating to like buy a bunch of like those kind of pranks and just go hit the field of like
you did
all the drivers.
Squirt gun one.
I did, but I was like, I gotta come because now everyone knows what that camera is, so it's like hard to get them
right.
Because it was like that one was really good because it was like genuine reactions, like what the like. What?
Yeah.
Like, I thought I was getting a selfie, you know? So I want to get something else like that. I thought that one came out good. Like
I love stuff like that because like I know we want to be taken seriously as a sport.
Sure.
100%. You know, I'd be the biggest advocate that like we need more money in it, which means we do this stuff. But then you go and look at F1, which has some of the most money in sports. And they do the dumbest shit with their drivers. And it's like promoted and hosted by F1 and hosted by the teams. Yeah. And it's the best content. Like, I don't
because we're people, right? Like, like if you're not doing that, you're just like a robot that's a drive, you know, like they want to know your personality. They want to see like behind the scenes you know, what's happening. Like I those are easy ways for me to like make content that, you know, gets views and stuff like that. But also I do it because I like it. Like that's the thing. When I film those things, like it's honestly more for myself than it is for like the social media. Cause like I enjoy seeing it and I figure if I enjoy it, someone else out there does.
Yeah. I think those are the moments you really like find out about a driver. Like you know, a Frederick Osbo can be perfect on camera every single time. And then, you know, you find out that like, at Gatbill, he DJs and, you know, got like, he's like they're trying to like shut him down because he's DJing at like 3 a.m. Like, cool. Like, I like Freddie. Now I love Freddie. Because like, that's the coolest shit ever. Like,
like I had no idea until you posted that. I was like, what? Like, really?
Bro.
Like, how did I not know that? Like,
biggest surprise of my life. Like the first time I was in Norway at the first Gatbill I ever went to, it was big dinner. Everybody's under the tent. all this stuff. Music starts playing. I'm like, okay, look over it. Frederick Osbo's DJing my dinner. I'm like, what is going on? And this is like, this is before I ever worked for FD and stuff. And it was like, but the more that I've got to hang out with drivers and everybody else, like the more you see those, I'm like, we need to see more of that shit because it's so good.
And that's what's so good about FD. And even as it's gotten bigger and bigger, the drivers are still accessible.
Yeah.
Like you can go meet almost every driver if you want to. You may have to wait around or find them at the right time. Like you're not going to catch them right before they're going on grid, but like they're there in enough days where you can be there enough days if you want, and you can catch them, and you can catch a lot of drivers, because our pits are pretty much like open. Like we don't, I had a red carpet, but like
it was a pink carpet. It was a pink carpet.
It's close. I'm a little colorblind, so it's red for me. It's like it's close enough. Like but it's like there's a way in, and that's the thing. I think like and genuinely like people come up to me and talk, and I love chatting with them, even if it's like random stuff that's not really like. Sometimes it's drifter related. Sometimes they just ask me like silly questions that like I'm happy to do it because I know how much they're enjoying. Like it's like it's almost like because they're happy just to have that conversation, I'm happier to do it. You know what I mean? Like because they appreciate it. It's like a weird thing, but like
no, some of my favorite conversations with the fans of FD have had nothing to do with drifting. Like since I started doing those like barbecue reviews on my YouTube channel. Yeah. Somebody brought me barbecue to St. Louis. So like, you need to go to this spot. And I was like, nice. I'm like, dude, it's 45 minutes away.
Yeah.
Like I just, and
He's
you know
like,
this.
all
like,
right, I'm bringing it. Yeah.
You have like no time to do anything when you're at the events. You're really slammed.
Don't.
And he's like, cool, we're stopping for lunch. What do you want? And I'm like, oh no, it's all good. He's like, no, I'm going to bring you some. And then I felt bad because like on the Saturday, another person wanted to do it. I'm like, dude, my stomach's kind of upset. Like I can't just keep like I've eaten barbecue 3 days in a row. Like I need to chill. Much barbecue. Which I never thought I would ever say, but it's a great problem to have. But just I think some of the best conversations I've had at events have absolutely nothing to do with drifting.
For sure.
But like I'll talk drifting till I'm blue in the face.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. If you have a question, you want to know my opinion, 100%. You'll want to leave the conversation before I do.
It's like, all right. I just wanted to know if you like Nissans or BMWs. It's like 10 hours later.
Yeah. But no, I do agree. It's really what makes this sport so cool is that
For sure.
Yeah, the pits are all wide open. You can go meet the.
And,
you want
and
to
the
really
fans are great. I mean, like
they're awesome.
they're like I don't know. It's hard to put in words, but like people give you so much, like in terms of like their like personality. Like they're just so giving. I mean, some favors. Like I've gotten so many. Like when my truck broke down one year, I got a fan to tow me to Texas. I don't even know how that like. That's the craziest story in itself. But I don't know if should I say that story. But, I mean, like, but it's like she towed me in like a Hummer to Texas as I broke down 3 hours away, and like that's not normal. Like you should not be able to find someone willing to do that, and like I was able, to find that, and they didn't, really want anything in exchange. I gave them $100, but it was like, that's it. It's like, that's the cheapest tow, ever for a trailer. Yeah.
It's a several $1,000 tow.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that was a fun event. That was my last year in, the 350Z maybe.
The old team.
It wasn't, but it was the year that I like totaled my truck and trailer, and then I had to borrow a truck. Yeah, that bad accident on the way to Grid Life.
Right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was crazy times. So I borrowed a truck. I borrowed a trailer. Broke down on the way with the borrowed truck. It was a 6.0 Ford, the worst. Don't tow with that truck ever. So it breaks down on the way. We pull over in 3 hours from Texas at, it's called like Red. I forgot. People from Texas probably know, but it's near Texarkana. There was like a military depot or like some depot where it's like National Guard or something. I can't remember that. This like you see it on the interstate. I pull over. We're trying to figure out the truck. Some guy comes and talks to us. He's like, my wife might, be willing to tow it. I'm like, what? He's like, I'm like, well, what are you going to tow? He's like, shows me an H3. I don't know if you know the 5-cylinder Hummer, right? And I'm like, let me see the tow pack. Okay, wait, it's got a tow hook. Like, we can do this. Like, it's got a hitch. Like, we can do this. And he calls his wife. He's like, you want to take these guys to Fort Worth? And I'm like, waiting for the answer. She's like, hell yeah, I'd love to. And she brings her daughter and like she tows us on the way. Like, great people, like amazing. I don't remember her name, but like barely knew them. She went with us, towed us there, towed us back. On the way there was a little like, at first I was like a little scared. She was the greatest person. Like, I want to preface it, like, so nice, but like we were driving down in the first 5 minutes. She's like, I want you to drive because I don't know how to drive a trailer. I'm like, all right, fair.
Yeah.
5 minutes into the ride, she leans over to the driver's seat and reaches under the dash and pulls out a gun. And I'm like, what? Like, I'm like, okay, all right. And then she starts unloading and she's like, oh, I forgot that was there. It's like Texas shit, right? Like, fucking, they're just like, yeah, because I understand, like, she didn't want me to have access to her gun, obviously, right? Like,
100%.
Like, I got it, but I was like, fuck. I'm like, what did I sign up for? Oh my God, this is not gonna go. I just, it was fucking crazy. So like, yeah, that's the kind, but that, like, when you're on a budget, things like that happen. That's like, normal shit. Like,
this is normal shit.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was fun though.
Those are the best stories though.
She got us there and, I bought her In-N-Out, I think, because it was 24 hours. Like, I'm like, here's my budget. Like, here you go. I'll give you anything.
Just Texas shit. I like how you put that. Like,
but it is. Like,
I know, 100%.
That is 100% how to explain that. Like, how else do you explain that? For you non-US viewers, like, just look up Texas.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I know. Just the whole, like, even the Florida thing where I was like joking, where I'm like, yeah, like I think once I get my Florida driver's license, they just hand me a gun and people are like, yeah, literally you could go get one the same day if you want. And I'm like, I'm like, I grew up in Canada where like gun laws are insanely strict. Like it's basically impossible to get a handgun anymore. Like,
but
so
not in Texas.
Yeah. Not in Texas. Oh man.
Yeah.
I do miss Texas as around. Like, I obviously understand the reasoning why it's not around anymore. But
that's how we learned about Buc-ee's, man. I didn't know what Buc-ee's was until now we have Buc-ee's near us, so I'm like thankful. Like I can go get some brisket whenever I want. But like I remember like we would stop before, during, after, like probably 20 trips to Buc-ee's. Like
there was like two things you went and did. You went to Whataburger and you went to the Buc-ee's, and they were both across the street.
In-N-Out.
In-N-Out. Yeah.
Yeah,
but like
because we didn't have In-N-Out. Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah,
I think what makes all those, like even LJ's, as you talked about, is like when you don't have it all the time, it's
so much better.
You think about how great it is, even though it's like not all that amazing a lot of the time. Like if you take a look at it objectively,
for sure. Yeah,
but it's
like
not. It's the memories around it. It's
nostalgia.
Not the food.
Nostalgia is everything, man.
Dude, nostalgia is the craziest drug in the world. Easily, yeah.
That's
my
why
wife's
I like
watching
90s
Yu-Gi-Oh
hip-hop.
upstairs. Yeah, like
I never got into those things. I got into Magic the Gathering and that card game, but I never got into the like Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh or any of those.
You did say you're rocking Dota pretty heavily, which is quite impressive, sir.
I love Dota.
Yeah,
dude. Like I was looking at it the other day because it tells you like sometimes when you load, it's like been a player since 2013. No, I didn't even look at the hours. I don't want to look at the hours. But this game has been around. And the funny thing is 2013 is not the original date. That's the date of Dota 2.
Right.
Dota 1 was through Warcraft.
Yeah.
And that date, I don't even know what it is, but it's prior to 2013. So this game is like, still has like a massive following to this date, 15 years later. And a lot of the people I play with have been playing for like more than 10 years. Which is crazy.
I don't know if it still does, but I remember at one point it had the largest prize pool. It still has the largest prize pool.
Yeah.
And largest viewership of like online gaming.
I don't know that part. I know the prize pool is big because they're really good about like taking money from every like subscription and purchase and everything and putting it towards that TI. I don't know what it stands for, but the international, I think is what it is.
Yeah.
But every year they have that, somewhere in the world they do that comp and put all that money towards it. And that's why I think why it's stuck around so long, because they keep giving back to the players. But it's a fun game. It's a very nuanced, like you have to spend a lot of hours to learn that game, which I think is part of the reason I don't change games, because I'm like so vested in it, and it's like now it's nostalgia when I play it. Like it's almost like it's how I wind down, like some people will watch like a TV show or something like that. Like I'll wind down with the Dota game. Like when I get home from work, like I'll pop on play a game or two of Dota and then wind down for the night and like I'm good, versus like other people might do, Call of Duty or something. I don't know. They do similar stuff, but it's just like a routine kind of thing of just like but it's like a hard game. Like it's really hard. It's hard to learn. That's one of the challenges of like getting new players on, because it's so challenging to learn that game that like, and it's not because like you have to be a genius to play. It's just, it's complex. Like there's a lot of like just moving pieces that you have to learn. And it's changing so much. So, but
so, I mean, I played a ton of Apex Legends, like from like the time it came out, and my son still plays a lot, but like that, I haven't been able to play recently, but like that was my go-to of like, if I have an hour to blow, after work kind of thing, I'd be like, just go downstairs and do that. And, and not that I was even ever really good, but it was just fun. Like I knew what I was getting into.
Sure.
I kept up on like a lot of the lore stuff and kept up on the updates and what teams were doing well. And it was kind of fun. It was such a large disconnect from.
What kind of game is that? Because I've never played that.
It's an FPS.
Okay.
But it's like, it's more fantasy than it is. It's based off Titanfall 2, if you remember that game.
Yeah.
So, but it's good. Similar, like you pick your character, they've got abilities and specials and stuff like that. And
I've always been more an RTS player. So I played like Warcraft 3 a lot. I was really good at it at one point. Like I was #1 East Coast for a year. Like in 4v4. There was different categories, but 4v4 for like a year. I was like #1 for a minute. So but I was like back in my college years. So quite some time ago. And then we switched over to Dota because no one was playing it anymore.
Right.
So it was just like, kind of lost it. I miss it. So if anyone wants to play Warcraft, hit me up. I will play.
Yeah, now it's, I mean, it's crazy how those transitions happen. And what's funny is I'm hoping that some of that stuff starts to end up coming back. Like I watched I've been on the fence about buying a Game Boy. Like
like the original?
Probably like a Game Boy, like a color. But like there's so many mods now that are available to put an IPS screen on it, to put replace. Like I watched the whole thing on it the other night, and I'm like, and I'm so torn, because it's like, do I want to? I'll never get back what I had as a kid, right?
Sure.
Like those memories that I built around playing those games. Like I'll never get back, and I'm like, oh, I should go back and like replay Pokemon Blue. And like, so I'm torn. Do I leave it in the past as like a really good memory, or do I want to try and relive it at some point?
And then you play it and you're like, this isn't as good as I thought it was.
Yeah.
Like it's very likely that you're gonna be like I play GoldenEye, right? Like I still have my original GoldenEye, and like I'll play when friends come over and stuff, and I still rock that shit. Like anyone License to Kill, you can't beat me. I'm unbeatable. But
Gold Gun,
But like people, come and watch it, and I'm like, dude, these graphics are terrible. I'm like, what do you mean? It's like this is great.
Bro, at the time, it was everything when it came out.
They're like, it's so blurry here. Like, how do you see? I'm like, I don't know. I've just been playing this game a long time.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I bought not the exact same, but a very similar car that I sold when I had kids. Like when I found out my wife was pregnant, like I basically had to sell my fun cars because like I got a baby on the way. I'm flat broke. I can't be driving this thing around. So I bought another one like last
Recently?
year. I drove it down to Florida. Mazda Speed Protege.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I've owned a bunch of them. At least 10 over the years.
What year would that be?
2002, 2003 era.
Okay. Yeah.
So
and like turbo.
Yeah, this one is, yeah. The Mazda Speeds came turbo, the Mazda Proteges and the Protege 5s didn't. But I had a Protege 5 that I Mazda Speed swapped and stuff. Like, and same thing, I'm like, I do love the car, but it is definitely missing something. Like, I'm driving it and I'm like, it's just not the same.
It's like, not as, that's, dude, I think I'll feel the same way. I really want to find a Celica GTS, like a 2000, that era, like the ugly era. You know what I'm talking about? Like,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
That was my college car. Like, that's what I drove to like Nashville to Atlanta. I would drive that car, and I miss it, man. It just it was a fun car to drive. But I feel like if I ever drove it now, it may not be quite the same.
Well, you'll never get back like the hanging out with friends, like for you, like the Georgia Tech days. Like those will never actually come back, no matter how much you drive the car, right?
Yeah, very true.
It's so like I literally posted on Instagram last night that like nostalgia is a hell of a drug, because it is like it makes me feel so good.
It is,
like,
but that's like the fun thing, you know. It's like getting back with old friends, like doing that kind of stuff. Like you can have, you know, there's certain people that like you have that you can pick up. Like you can not see that person for 10 years.
Oh,
and you go hang out with them, and that night you're back like 10 years. You know, it's just that's nostalgia. You know, it's like there's nothing that beat like that's like the best friendships in my opinion. You know, it's just like you can't beat that. Like nothing changed. Like you don't even have to know what's going on in their life, and it's like everything's great.
It's so, I mean, going back to like the drug analogy of it though, it's so weird because I have friends that are so lost in that though. Yeah. Where when I speak to them, they only know me of that era that I knew them. Yeah. And like all that the conversation is of that era. I'm like, that's bro, true. I haven't had a mohawk in like 10 years. Yeah. Like, I know I have.
We don't know though. Because no one's seen you without the toque, right?
It's gone now. It's out. It's fine.
There is a mohawk under there. We don't know.
Dude, I had it back for a minute last year. I shaved it again, and I never put it up. And that was the moment I knew it was over. Yeah. Because like my hair got long. I shaved the sides. I had a mohawk, and I was like, okay, cool. I've got it back. Like I loved having one. Yeah. I had to get rid of it because I got a good job at the time. Yeah. And then I never put it up, and I'm like, hey, it's over for me. Like I had the opportunity to do it. It's over. It's over. Yeah. But I don't know. I do love it. I have very similar friends that I could call right now and just I haven't talked to them in 7 or 8 years. Someone posted on my Facebook wall. There's a throwback for you. Maybe they poked me too.
Who does that anymore? But yeah.
But it was like a drift event we went to in 2018. And it's like those group of guys and girls, like we could show up to the same track and not miss a beat. And it would feel the exact same. No matter what I'm up to now and what they're up to and all that stuff. Sure. Yeah. We recorded a podcast in a pool. Nice. Like on the back of a trailer at a drift event. It was like so
like
perfect.
A kiddie pool in a trailer in a
It
truck.
wasn't a kiddie pool. It was I mean, I'll bet you it was a 10-foot or 12-foot long pool. Okay. It was decent. We put it on the back of a trailer, drove around the pits, recorded the whole podcast. You can still find it. It's on Spotify.
I might go look for this.
Yeah. I think it was under the Piston Head days, but it was called like the Pool Cast. And looking back, it's a terrible idea because like
electronics everywhere, wet.
Yeah, like hanging over, the edge of the pool. Yeah, not a great idea.
Nice.
Look, so many of you tried to give me money this year, and if you don't know why, it's because they used my promo code when they bought tickets for their favorite FD event. They put in FD podcast in the little coupon section, save some money, and I made a joke last year that you should give me that money, and I didn't accept any of it, although thinking back, I probably should have, because I could have bought myself another fancy mic, maybe another rack of hats or something. I don't know. But if you want to be one of those people this year, when you're checking out the coupon code section, just use the code FD podcast. Save yourself some money. Okay. But I don't know. It's that fun. That's just, it's just great. I mean, Grid Life stuff. I mean, I know you've got a bunch of memories from Grid Life. And,
the original Grid Life.
The OG. Yeah. Dude,
I want to go to these other ones, man. I haven't been able to go. Like, I've only been to Grid Life Midwest and Atlanta. Yeah. And Atlanta was awesome. I wish that never fell apart. But, like, that was closer. It's a fun track. Like, the festival wasn't as crazy as Midwest. But, like, it was just so much more local for me. And getting to drive Road Atlanta, like, that's sick. But, like, some of these other tracks look amazing, like, phenomenal. Yeah. And I just want to, like, find the budget and the time, because that's really what it boils down to, is like budget and time for some of these events. Like it just looks so good. So I wanna go to some of those.
So they did Road America this weekend.
Yeah, I saw it.
Right.
Like,
did you see the karaoke setup that they just they did dude,
No.
and I know you're a
I
good
saw
singer.
that they were going.
Yeah.
Oh,
No. The main stage. Like
What?
literally karaoke. T-Pain hosted a karaoke contest in front of all of the fans. Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome.
I would've gone just for that.
Someone won a car show trophy that was a mic, and it said
Okay.
like best drip car, and I was trying to. So maybe that's like how they tied it all together.
maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's sick.
I know you're a
would
good
be
singer, so I think you could have won that.
Yes, I can sing one Aladdin song, and that's it. That's my karaoke skills, is the one Aladdin song.
Which one?
A Whole New World. Yes. It is the only
Do you
song.
do both parts?
So sometimes, but mostly
Okay.
not. Mostly I'll try to get someone to do it. And I have to be very, very inebriated to do this.
Right.
And I'm not good, but I am so bad that if you're from Nashville or know of Nashville, there's a karaoke bar called Lonnie's, very famous, really good karaoke people go there, right? Like this is not like very good people go there and sing. Also really drunk people go.
It's Nashville. It's the music
I got a
capital.
standing ovation because I
Really?
was so bad. Like it was so bad it was good. Like it's one of those like there's a video floating out there somewhere if someone wants to find it. It's out there. I think it's on the internet, but I got a standing ovation because it was so bad that they loved it. Like it was just it's like that American Idol guy that was like really bad. That
William Hung, I think it was.
something like that. Yeah. So it's like that. It's like that level of cringe, but it was good. So, and they knew I was having a good time. Like if I was serious, it would be like, whoa. But like I was having a good time. So
It's amazing what like a toxic level of confidence will do.
yes.
Like,
I was like acting out the whole thing.
oh,
Like it
you
was,
have to.
yeah, it was good. So that's like the only karaoke song that I like can actually somewhat know the rhythm and the words and stuff like that. But I got to be pretty.
You gotta
I have
you
to
gotta
have
come
some
out
drink. I got to get like, some sort of
liquid courage.
something. Yes.
Yeah.
Something has to happen for me to want to do that.
Have you?
So.
Do you go to the banquet at the end of FD at all?
In LA or
Yeah.
no, I have never been.
So
Yeah. Is
there's
that
like a tradition after to go do karaoke, and last year was my first year doing it, and last year even going to the banquet, and I'd heard about the karaoke, and I was like, oh, I'll make sure like I tag along.
Yeah.
And I am not a drinker. I probably drank more this year than I have in my entire life.
Yeah.
Just because anyways, it's been a long year. But next thing I know, I'm 3 sheets to the wind with like Matt Field and Chelsea DeNofa singing, and I'm like, what? Like it was one of those moments I just sit back and like, what is going on right now?
Yeah, what
like
is
why
this?
am I here with these people? I don't like.
Nice.
But I would think that you should probably try and make it, if nothing else, for the karaoke, just so we can get a whole new world.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see on the the maybe train.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take a
We could
solid
try
maybe.
also for the Prospect Awards to do karaoke after.
That's a good point.
That way.
Because those are after
After
Utah.
the event on Saturday. Yeah.
Okay.
We do like a dinner and drinks. So
I'm gonna have to stick around for that one. I don't think I did last year.
yeah, you missed out.
I did miss out.
Yeah, because it's we get free drinks and food.
That's a problem.
Yeah, it's good.
Maybe we'll
good
have to do a beer chug for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
So I have to ask, whatever happened to Turismo Drift? Why are you not back hosting events, doing stuff like that?
The
Not
main
enough time?
reason, so the first reason, the last event I did, the track promoter who basically had the contract to re-rent it out. So like not the city owns the track, but they hire a promoter for like 2 years or something. That guy basically is a crook. I mean,
Oh, cool.
unfortunately. And he stole is maybe not the right word. He he made me put a deposit via check that he did not cash and was going to get back to me at the end of the event. Magically accidentally deposited it and then charged me because there was tire debris on the track. And by tire debris, I mean tire dust. And it was like $2,500 that he just owed me and never gave me. And I was just like, I can't rent from this person. Like, I can't do business with that person. So that killed it, right?
Yeah.
So that was the main reason, because Nashville, back then, Super Speedway wasn't alive. Like, it was still not open back up. Mm-hmm. So I just kind of got burned out. Like, I mean, because I lost a lot of money doing tourism drift. Like, I did not make money doing that. Like, I lost a lot of money doing that. And that like kind of killed my spirit of like wanting to do, because I did it for drivers. Like, I didn't even get to drive in it. You know what I mean? Like, I like driving. I don't like love hosting events. I was just doing it because this was before clutch kickers. It was before any of that. Like, no one was doing prize per, like, it was just not a thing. Like, there was no prize money for any event. So I was like, you know what? Let me try this. If we can get like good events, and like, I wanted to kind of bring some of the stuff I was learning from FD and this and that, and like do it, because I mean, back it was like MDU, no knock to them, but like they didn't want to do a start chicane. There's like, no, we don't do that. And I'm like, but why? There was stuff like that. So I was like, I want to do that at these events and focus on the drivers. I don't like, none of it's going to be focused on the spectators. It's focused purely on what's, good for the driver. So I did everything. Like, I paid out top 16, got your money back,
Damn.
like I spent a lot of money to do that. And if I went back and did it again, I would make a lot of changes for sure. Cause like, I learned a lot, but like I lost a lot of money in the non-Nashville events, but Nashville, we like kind of broke even, kind of lost a little bit. It wasn't so bad, but like we got killed in Knoxville and Memphis. It just, didn't get enough spectators, but I would do it again if like the setup was right, the track was right, there was a lot of help. I didn't have to gamble as much money. But nowadays, like it's a weird place. Money attracts people, but also doesn't. At one point it did, and then now it's like it's so expensive. We don't really care if we win. Like you do care, but like that money doesn't even cover like how much you spent. So now you're not really targeting the average driver. You're targeting, let's just face it, like people with money. That's like you're targeting drivers that can afford to drift, and that's it. And it's like a different world. The prize money is just like a little carrot that makes it legitimate. If that makes sense. It's like, okay, this is going to be a legitimate event because there's prize money. But like, if I don't win, it's not the end of the world. But like, there was so much drama behind the scenes with like drivers getting upset about I had drivers like complain about this, let's just say dumbest things, like just silly things. And I'm like we had, I won't name any names because I really don't want to like bash anyone.
Yeah, no, we're not here to blow people up.
Yeah, but there was like one event where you got to understand, we were Grassroots, right? This is Grassroots. The announcer misunderstood because someone had a first name and a last name that matched and they were battling each other. Okay. So it was like a mix up of like which name they were. So they said the person won because the judges were like, Johnson won. And the guy's like first name sounded like Johnson. So they gave the win to the other one via announcer. And as soon as we heard it, we're like, hey, that's not who won. This person won. And we switched it. And then they're like, oh, that's bullshit. I won. It was like, no, like you didn't win. Like it's nothing. Yeah. Like yes, I'm sorry we made a mistake. But like, that was like a whole thing. I'm like, dude, like, I get it. Like, we don't want to make that mistake. And like, then we started changing it, like driver number, driver name. Like, we made changes because we saw that mistake. But like, come on, like shit like that.
Happens.
I'm like, bro, like you guys are like, we're trying to put all the money into the purse. And we didn't put any money, into like really good equipment or like, video and stuff like that. We put the money into the purse, and that was like, it didn't make money, and we put all the money into the purse. And yeah, our equipment isn't, the best. Like we don't have trained people that have done this 1,000 times, right? Like it's like they did this 4 times this year, and that's it. And that's like, people that are local and that sort of thing. But it's just like disheartening. So I said, you know what, like, I don't want to waste my time and keep losing money and not get to drive. Like that was the thing. I really wanted to drive, but like not getting to drive is like the worst. Like going to a drift event and not driving for me is like the saddest thing. Like I really don't love to watch and not be able to drive, if that makes sense. Like it just like I enjoy it, but you know what I mean? I'm just like,
yeah, it's not the same.
I want to do that. Like I want to go out there. Like there's a reason I drive, you know, like I drive because I enjoy driving, period. Like there's not really, you know, another way about it. So
yeah, I think people assume if you have an event, you're making money. And it's like, as somebody who has marketed many events and many very large events, I can tell you right off the bat, the owners very rarely make money. No.
Not unless you like turn it into a series or like not a series, but a long-term, like where it keeps growing. But your first probably 5 years, you're not making money. Like you turn it into LS Fest. Yeah, they're making money at LS Fest, but they have 30,000 people show up, you know, like that. And who knows, maybe they're not making money because they're spending a lot to have 30. I don't really know, you know, but I'm just like, okay, if I have the same costs, which obviously you wouldn't with 30,000 people, but like if you have the same cost, you're making a shit ton of money. But
you're not going to have 30,000 people when, you know, the event staff's only done it 4 times in a year.
Yes,
like,
exactly. Or you have, you know, 6 guys like doing everything. There's probably like 100 employees at LS Fest. So or maybe more. I don't even know.
I'm really not sure. I'm
Have you
sure
ever
it's
been?
more than that. No, I haven't, unfortunately.
Oh man, you got to go.
I know.
That's like, it's so close to me. So it's awesome. It's in Bowling Green, but it's like, man, it's 30,000 people that a lot of them don't even know what drifting is. Like they're, you know, nowadays, now they know because it's been going on so long, but many times they would show up and be like, what's drifting? Oh my God, this is awesome.
This is insane.
Yeah. So
I would love to get to the point where like announcing and you know, event like drifting analysis becomes a full-time gig, but like I am many years away from that happening.
I mean, it's also like just the burnout. Like you got like, if you have other things going on and doing that, I could see like, like, man.
I mean, currently, you know, 3 podcasts, 3 kids. I run a marketing agency and I have 2 incredibly large clients. So it's like,
no, it's like
I don't have a free weekend.
Yeah, for sure. It's the same thing as like when I'm done with drifting and I get back, like I'm like, okay, I got to catch up from all the work that I didn't do. And then it's like, by the time I catch up, I'm like, shit, there's another drift event like right around the corner. Like, oh my God, like I got it. Like it is a full-time, like it can be a full-time job on its own. But on top of that, you still have to have a full-time job. Yeah. At least most drivers, right? Like most people are doing something full-time or mostly full-time. Otherwise, like, it's just, you know, the money's not there.
I would argue, I used to think like, oh, all these people are like, you know, there's only, let's say 10 drivers that make their living off drifting, which like, yes, but that is not to take away from the amount of work that they're doing when they're not at the track. Like, I think a Chris Forsberg's like a great example, or a Von Gittin, where it's like, Chris Forsberg has made his life on drifting 100%. But it's not like he goes home after an event and goes, well, that was fun. Can't wait for the next one. It's like he has multiple builds on the go. He's obviously got all the YouTube stuff on the go. He's got merchandise, partnerships, like just keeping up. I'm sure. Well, I mean, if you saw his recent one, after St. Louis, he had to fly to Toronto to go to the Indy to do like a whole activation with Nos, which like, that sounds amazing. Like,
it's fun, but a lot of work.
That's a shitload of work.
That's
Dude,
like
I get up at like
drifting
3 in the morning.
every time. Yeah. It's like a lot of work. But this is the thing that I think people forget too. You take any driver that is making money drifting. It's almost arguable that many of them could also make money not drifting, right?
100%.
Like they have a 100%. YouTube channel and they could just not do drifting. So it's like FD is their legitimizer, right? Like it's a platform that you can now sell extra dollars, but you have to spend a shit ton of dollars just to do it. So like, you know, the people that have a lot of following, they're able to leverage that and use that, you know, but the people that like me, you know, I don't have crap load of followers, right? Like I can only leverage so much, and then I leverage FD, and it's like, you know, I get stuff, you know, here and there, but it's not funding my season. You know, like that's the reality, is like I'm, you know, basically funding it myself. I mean, 100%, you know, it's me spending my money to do this and doing what I love, and then getting help from some sponsors and stuff like that to make it easier. That's the real reality.
My favorite game to play is driving around the pits trying to guess how people are affording to be there.
Yes. It's
right.
It's
such
right?
a good game.
It's interesting. Yeah. And especially when you find out the truth, and that's like, oh, what? Really? Like,
yeah.
Oh, well,
That's
that makes
so cool.
sense. Like,
all right.
That's cool, but you know what I hate the most from that? It's maybe like a side subject, but there's so many drivers, and not just in FD, just in every part of motorsports where they're not truthful. Like, they're just not. Like, they'll say, yeah, I'm getting this much from all these sponsors, or this isn't costing me anything. Like, my whole season's funded with this. And it's like they say certain things and I'm like, man, there's just no way. Like I hear certain things and I'm like, I know that guy that does that, and I know what he does, because you start to know, like, you start networking and you find out stuff and you just like hear stuff and you're like, man, like, I think it's a disservice to, it's not to fans, but to drivers who are trying to come up and selling this like fictitious world of like, this is how you do it. And the reality is, like, you can find those ways and do it, but then you're counting on someone else to do it for you or believe in you. And that's kind of like what, I think you can always believe in yourself. You don't need someone to believe in you. So if you can find a way that doesn't involve relying on someone, that's like the sure way of making it. You know what I mean? Versus like, if you're counting on someone else to believe in you and fund you and all that stuff, one, I don't think it's possible to do that without any money, right? Like, I don't think there's a realistic scenario where you could just hop into like a program that pays for everything. If it exists, I don't know how that would work out. But like unless you had a YouTube following, it's like you have to have something first. You can't just like be a nobody and then get someone to fund everything.
I think a great example of it right now is even Adam LZ, where like, arguably the biggest influencer in our space. Yeah. Right. Rex in St. Louis basically says, hey, I don't have enough liquid cash right now to finish the season. I'm sure, I'm sure he could call. Right. I'm sure he could call sponsors or something else, but like, it's not like that happened. He makes that statement and then Coca-Cola called him and went, hey, don't worry about it. We got you.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
The dude went and went, you know what? I'll basically do a crowd fundraiser, sell a bunch of shirts, try and turn lemons into lemonade, and then see how many I sell and see how far I can get. Right. Yeah. So even somebody like that, who's like I said, arguably our biggest influencer in FD, it's not like he's got all these companies that are just handing him cash to compete. Yeah. Right? Yeah.
Which is crazy. Like it's like, I always think about it, and I haven't figured out this formula, and I really want to, is there's a lot of corporate companies that spend a lot of money on billboards. And I'm like, why can't we get them to spend the money on car? Like I've struggled to get any of those companies. Yeah. I want to hear, because like that makes, it's like, you spend so much money on a billboard that like it gets X number of views, and then you translate that to FD, and the budget should be like ample for lots of teams. Like if you translate that, the budget like for eyes to eyes is crazy. And I'm like, but you're on a car that gets to more views than just FD too, because there's social media and there's like other events, stuff like that. But I can't figure it out. I'm about to like blow up something I've held back for years, but it's fine. It's fine. It's about time. Okay. So there's a term in marketing, a metric called CPM. Do you know what CPM is? Cost per million.
It's yes and no. It's cost per 1,000 impressions. It's kind of like a misnomer. Yeah.
I remember from my internet days, if you want to hear a story. After this.
Like, what's this story?
But we'll get there if you want.
Okay. We'll come back to that because I need to know. But so the universal term for influence or impressions in marketing is CPM. And you can calculate as a race team your CPM. And it's something that I don't think enough drivers either know how to do or do. Because that billboard, based on its DMA or the demographic it's in, you can figure out what its CPM is, and that's how they charge for billboards. Right. That's how a billboard, that cost for that billboard. Yeah. So I think if we were to speak to companies in the same terms that we that every other marketing speaks to them in, it's a better justification. So, for example, if you were to take the demographic that Formula Drift has, which is predominantly male, high school educated, I think it's like 60% is college educated with surplus income between the ages of 18 and 35, which is, in marketing terms, one of the most expensive audiences, period. Like, it is one of the hardest demographics to get to. It's one of the golden audience. There's a few of them, but it's one of the golden audiences. And you were to calculate how many impressions you get as a race team for, over the period of a year, and then find a way to basically take that impression count and then put it and compare it against a billboard or a radio or a TV ad, because those CPMs are public knowledge and you can go find them. You come in and say, hey, I'm going to give you your perfect demographic at a competitive rate to what you're already spending money on. And all you have to do is give it to me on a race team. And plus all the social media and all the extra stuff that you don't even need to count. Calculate those in it, because if you calculate all of those impressions you get on social media over the year, if you were to take your logo, what do you call your dude, your little character?
Smiley, I don't know.
Smiley, cool.
Hooman Smiley. That's like in my computer, it's Hooman Smiley, but I don't know.
Hooman Smiley. Okay, so if you were to take Hooman Smiley and figure out every post that they appear on, and take the impressions from all of those posts over the period of a year, there's your total impressions digitally. Then figure out the estimated audience of every event, and then take the estimated audience of everything that's online. There's your total impressions for the year. Put all those together, then figure out what your CPM should be. So let's say $15 per 1,000 impressions.
Something.
There you go. $15 per 1,000.
Here's the answer.
Multiply that out. There's what your title sponsor could
needs
be.
To pay or should want to pay or justifiably pay. And
a $15 CPM for the demographic that we reach is actually pretty competitive. Now, I can go in and run a Facebook ad right now to an open audience that's like broadcast across all demographics and get it down to like a $2.30, which is great, but it's actually kind of a shit.
But it's different too, because it's like a small like corner of a screen versus like the people. I mean, there's lots of, and then so many ways like a person behind it. Yeah, for sure.
But like that's how you get to these companies. I also think that like companies have gotten away for so long by getting to this audience for so cheap that all it's going to take is one company to come in and be like, bro, these guys have been hoarding this audience for all these years and getting it for so cheap. I'm just going to come in and pay what this audience is actually worth. And it will cause every other company to decide, hey, do we want to keep on this audience, or do we and pay up or leave? And that's going to be the hard part. It's going to happen. And I think we'll lose a couple of big sponsors from the sport, but it will attract somebody else. Like Perrier will come in and be like, holy shit.
Like,
LaCroix
why don't we have alcoholic sponsors? Like, now there's like, I think, Adam LZ has that one, but like,
Breezy.
There's not that many, like, and that's like crazy, right? Like, that's the one where I'm like, there should be, tons of those out there, but no.
Anyways, what's your internet story about M?
God. I don't even really want to say it so much because it's like, it's one of those, I was young and stupid.
Okay.
So this was high school era, like freshman year of high school, back when the internet started, right? This is before like the internet boom.
The early days.
And I set up a website. So I had a website, it was called humanism.com. Like that was my like username on AOL. That was my website, like all that. All it was a website full of all the Java games. So I found every Java game and applet and all that, and I would install it, and I had a server set up at my house, and like I would host it. And like I did that. So I figured out like basic code, like just not complicated coding. You would just find the codes and snippets and put them in, and like I just started collecting that. Then I started collecting like videos, like any kind of funny video that you would find on the internet that gets passed around. I would collect that, and like I started doing that. And then I got like on the server thing, like there was a thing to set up ads. I was like, oh, cool. So I started setting up ads, and then I started getting like clicks, and I started getting like small amounts of dollars. Like, oh, wow. Like every time they click, back then you would get 10 cents a click. That was like the heyday.
Damn.
That was like the heyday. It was the 10 cents a click was like crazy. And then you got 1 cent per 1,000. CPM was 1 cent. Right? Of the ad on a random website. So I started doing some math and I was like, okay, if I have 1,000 ads on one page, how many views and how many times does that page have to refresh? So I didn't think about the morals and the ethics of it, right? Like I was young. like today, don't do this. Like I felt like I learned my lesson. This is not the way to do it.
I know exactly where this is going.
So I created all my friends' accounts. And back then, there was this thing called Net Zero. You remember that? So they had these programs where the mouse would move and click. So I installed that on all the computers at school. So we had computer labs. I installed that on all my friends' PCs. I had like a farm of these things going. I made $1,000 like in the first week and the account got shut down. So it got immediately shut down, but they sent the check and like my parents like saw that, like, what were you doing? I explained to them like, this is stupid. You cannot do like, no, like this is wrong. Like you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. I was like, yeah, I see your point. Like I didn't think about it at all, but like that's the kind of kid I was. I was just always trying to like find a way to do stuff like that and like learn. Like I was learning the hard way, you know, like I'm really big on like morals and ethics too. So like it's one of those things that like I remember doing and I feel so bad about doing it, but like it's a lesson that I learned like early on in a very minuscule way. Like it didn't, I'm sure, hurt them that bad. You know what I mean? That like for me to learn that life lesson early, I feel like it's a good lesson to learn like why that's wrong, you know? Because a lot of people would still be like, to this day, what's the problem? You know, you got, you know, money, but it's like, they didn't pay for that. Like they didn't pay for robots to view that ad, right? Like, so I,
hey dude, bot traffic is still a massive problem.
It is for sure. But it's like, I wish, you know, people would understand the other side of it. Like they're just trying to make money, but it's like, but you're screwing someone over, you know? And that's the ethics of it. And I think that's like one of the first like forays into like I minored in philosophy, and I think that might have like started that like thought process and got me kind of like studying that stuff, because I started studying like a lot of that stuff and like learning, you know, just right and wrong and what makes it right, what makes it wrong, and that stuff's interesting to me.
That is definitely, I mean, that's a good story. I like that. Like trying to arbitrage the system.
Dude,
I like it.
I remember I was sitting there with a calculator. I was like, okay, so I made $1,000 in 1 week. In 365 days, I'll have $1 million. I can go buy the McDonald's. I'm gonna like I was like scheming out like this whole life plan. Yeah, and then like, you know, I paid some of my friends. I was like, okay, I'll give you, you know, $50 if you run it like each month, and like, you know, I had this whole thing, and like I paid all my friends. Like I gave all, you know, everyone that did it, I gave them the money, and they're like, oh, I didn't think you were gonna pay me. I was like, yeah, dude, like I said I would pay you, and here you go. Like and they're like, okay, sure. Like, and I know some of my friends didn't do shit too. Like they're like, yeah, I did it. Give me that, you know. I'm like, man, you didn't do shit. But I don't really know.
This is the same friends that throw bags of ice on the ground, right?
Dude, don't do that. Don't do that. Why? There's so many other ways. It's like the bag is dirty. Look, I'm just like, I like stuff clean, right? Like I might be messy, but I like stuff clean. And like when you put the bag on the floor, now there's dirt on the outside of the bag. And then I know when anyone dumps that ice in the cooler, like that bag is going inside that cooler for a second, and that dirt's getting in there, and it just ends up like no one is that careful. They're just not. They're just don't get it dirty. Keep it clean. I want because look, I really like Coca-Cola, like a lot. Yeah, and I don't do it now because I don't trust the ice, but like I would, you know, when I was controlling the ice, I would get me a cup, take a cup of ice out of the cooler because it's clean ice. Because of course, you didn't put it on the ground. Put it on the ground. But now I don't do that. I just, you know, have to drink it without the ice in it. You don't have like a drinking ice bag and then a cooling ice bag. It's like so much hassle. We're always out of ice. Like I don't know why, but like we can never have enough ice at the track because we don't like it melt, like especially hot events like St. Louis. St. Louis wasn't so bad this time, but like we were still out of ice the whole time. You know, like it was like we need more ice. I couldn't be. I don't even know if I should say this. Someone might get in trouble, but like we were. I have like a backpack cooler, so we were watching pro, and I had beer, and we had like this much ice, like just this much, and it's like
the ball.
I I stopped by there was like the people selling beer, and I'm like, hey, can I have some ice? You're like, you can get it from me. And she like, so I had cold beer. I was so happy. I was like, oh my God, you're the best.
Damn, that's awesome.
But that wasn't at St. Louis. That was at
a non-FD event.
a non-FD event. Never happened.
Bro,
It never happened.
Andy Luck doesn't make it this far into the episode. You're fine.
I mean, it was all in good fun.
That's
A drinking
great.
Hooman is a good Hooman,
This is. I've seen it. I have
Yeah,
seen it.
yeah.
You're definitely. Yeah.
Let me
That's
have
what I
a
say.
few
You're
beers.
one of the most fun people on Grid, man.
I try to have fun.
I try to make a point almost every event to stop by and say hi,
Yeah.
and we usually
Yeah.
shoot the shit for 5-10 minutes, whatever we
And
can.
then you're like, fuck, I gotta go.
Yeah, that was this time. I was like, I actually had to be
You're
somewhere.
like, I have so many things I have to be doing.
Bro, those weekends are so nuts.
It's crazy.
They're so
like,
nuts.
and we only run Thursday and Friday, but I feel like I'm like, even on Saturday, I'm like, because I'm trying to do my videos and stuff, and it's like trying to get the content and stuff. It just takes time. Like, it's crazy how much time it takes to do anything, like making that stuff. It takes time. And then, I got to grill for the team, like get everybody eating, doing all that. Like, that's the least I can give them. I try to.
Is there any Iranian food that you still cook?
I make omelets, Persian omelets.
Okay.
So that's the probably one dish that I can cook well, which is basically like, it's like a reverse omelet. Like, it's a tomato base with egg in it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like you simmer tomatoes for a long, long time until they're like basically a paste. Like, you turn it into a paste, and then you drop fresh, uncooked eggs, and you scramble it up, and then you eat it. And that's like one of my favorite breakfast.
There's like a Spanish dish that's very, very close to that. Where
I saw someone cooking something from another country. I was like, hey, that's Persian omelets, So yeah.
There's only so much food, man. Like, there's only so many ways. You can make
it's
things,
so
but
simple too. Tomatoes and eggs, like
Yeah.
how, with salt and pepper and stuff too. But like, yeah. So for sure, for sure. But
Yeah,
like, I can't cook. But like, I just came from my parents for lunch. Like, they cook, like kebab and fesenjoon is like a It's fesenjoon.
Yeah, so we've got kofta and shish kebab actually for dinner tonight. Which
yeah.
isn't Iranian,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's a little
close.
closer. There's
it's like the same words, but like so we say kufte.
kufta,
So it's like we have the same stuff, but
it was super. I mean, I did not pick it at all. My wife comes home and I'm like, oh, this is too perfect. I've got Hooman on tonight. She's like, what? I'm like, he's from Iran. So, I still remember the day you came up to me and you're like, hey, what country am I from? And I'm like, what? And you're like, guess my heritage. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna dude, this is not fair. This is entrapment.
I don't even remember that conversation. Was that when?
I think this was after a couple of those beers, but
okay,
I can't remember how it came up. I think somebody like asked if you were like Egyptian or something, and you like turn and look at me, and you're like, what do you think my background is? I'm like, there's no way I'm getting this right.
I can always like trick people too, because they can say, where are you from, right? And I'm like, I can be American. I can be Indian because I was born in India, which is like, what? Like I'm not Indian in any capacity, but like I was born there. I can be Iranian. I could be, that's pretty much it. There's a three. But that's the three. But it's like, it's always like people are like, where are you from? I'm like, do you want to know if I'm from Nashville? Do you want to know like my parents are from? Do you want to know where I was born? Which I don't know why that matters, but like and then like I get into conversations like, oh, so you're Indian? I'm like, no, I was born there. So yeah, you're Indian. I'm like, I mean, does that make an American who was in Germany German? Like if they were born in Germany, like is that, I don't know, but like there's a lot of people that simplistically think, I know people in America that didn't realize they're citizens that were not born in America.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Crazy, right? Like I'm like,
crazy.
Like
I
guess you didn't think I was American, I'm American, but like, my parents are from Iran. They're immigrants, but like, I grew up here. I've been here since I was a month old.
Oh, really? Okay. So it was that quick. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. They had me in India, and then, it was during the revolution. They were studying in India, and then they had my brother first, and then 3 years later had me, and then we came to Nashville.
Your brother's socials are pretty locked down, but he also looks like a very wacky person and looks very much like you. Yeah.
Yeah. He actually plays a lot of pranks and stuff.
Oh, yeah?
Too, so yeah. Yeah.
It's a family.
I think
trait
that's
then.
where I learned. Like, I think he probably growing up played a lot of pranks on me, so it made me like he was known as the in Farsi it's Shaytun, which is like I don't know. It's like
Joker or something.
It's not naughty, but like naughty. You know what I mean? Not like naughty in a bad way. Like
right.
Like
right.
like a good naughty. Like
just
a
up to something.
Yeah, like he's like a one of those kids that's like always. I don't know what the English word would be for it, but
There may
like,
not be one.
I think it's like but
just always up to something.
just like playing pranks on people. Always like doing stuff like that.
He's
So.
always doing something.
Yeah. So we used to buy like the little cigarette snappers where when you light your cigarette, it would pop. Like my dad smoked when we were kids and we didn't want him to smoke. So we would buy those, stick them into cigarettes and he would light it up and he'd be like, like
then run away really quick.
Yeah, like that was the kind of stuff we did all like that was, I used to do. So like, what Jonathan did to my hotel, like roped it.
Yeah.
We used to do that, to neighbors. Like we would go rope their front door to their porch, like
to the railing,
column or railing, knock on the door and just book it and then sit in the bushes and they're like, and then like, get chased by some of them. Like that was like, I don't think you could do that in today's world.
No, I don't think so.
Being like not in most neighborhoods, right? But like that's the kind of stuff like I mean, yeah, I did a lot of dumb stuff growing up, like for sure.
I said to my wife the other day, I'm like, you have no idea how often I want to screw with you, but I don't purely because I don't want to deal with the repercussions.
Yeah.
She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, constantly. I same thing. I love pranking people and like very large, elaborate pranks are like, I'll do like 1 or 2 really good ones a year, but I will spend more money on it than I probably should just for like one thing. Yeah. And it's just shit like that like,
but I'm like, okay, fine. It's worth it. I spent $100 on like random stuff on Amazon to do one prank. And I'm like, that's not worth it. But it is, like $100 that, but all right, fine. Like take my money. I'll do it.
It's worth it. It's
the worst when I do it and it gets like 50 views. I'm like, damn it.
Yeah. You can't do it for the views.
No, I know. Thing. That's why it's like, I do it because it's fun, but it's like, like I have to, get
It'd be
someone
cool
to
if
help
there was
me.
a payoff. Yeah.
Well, it's like sometimes I have to get someone to help me with the editing, right? Like, so if I convince them to edit it and then we edit it and then they're like, hey, it didn't get in, and it's like, damn it, like, sorry, I thought it was funny, fun. Like I thought it was hilarious. Like I'm like, man, this is going to be viral. This is so good. And it's like, I'm like, damn it, so. I don't know.
Didn't you like TP Jonathan's car or something?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I did that one year.
Saran wrap?
I did. Yeah, we did. 1 year. I asked him the other day, and I think he did it to me. He hid my car, or I hid his car, but I don't remember who did what. Like I'm pretty sure he did it because I don't remember exactly. So I think he like rolled my car into someone else's pit, and then I came back, and I'm like,
was that in Utah where he like pushed you around the building or something?
It was Atlanta, if I remember right, but it was like before because we weren't teamed up, when. In Utah, but when we were doing, when he was still doing Pro Spec or Pro 2 or whatever.
Right.
I think it was Atlanta. I'm pretty sure it was Atlanta, but one of those events, he like rolled my car or I'm pretty sure he did it. And I came in, I'm like, yo, what the hell? So I like that. That was a good one. Like, I like stuff like that.
It's like harmless. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like harmless, like the Orbeez and stuff that people do, like that shit hurts.
It does hurt.
Like, I don't know about all that. Like, it's funny at a certain point, but then it just becomes annoying. Like,
that's a trend that I'm happy died.
Yeah. Now the water guns are back. I don't know if that's partly my fault.
I think
I enjoy the water.
I like water guns over that. I mean,
especially when it's hot. It's like, okay, cool. Like, you got me. So
yeah, I'm definitely more cool with the water guns than I was with the Orbeez guns.
For sure.
That's for sure.
So,
but
the fans love it. I like doing I like throw a gun to them and then they like battle me.
That was fun.
Yeah, I like doing that.
Yeah, those skits and stuff. I mean, I say just keep doing it. Like, you obviously enjoy it. The fans enjoy it. A lot of the other drivers enjoy it too. So it's
follow
we need
me.
to have.
Watch these things. I'll make more. Do it, or else.
Or else.
I won't. No, I'll still make them. It's like Don't do it. Don't follow me. It's fine.
Now you're gonna have like a bunch of people like just wanting to see something wicked for Utah. So you gotta have something cool set up for Utah.
There is a we were supposed to do it in St. Louis and something happened, but there's a He-Man outfit that's been acquired.
Damn, He-Man.
I don't know the whole skit yet, but
Okay.
I've been memorizing the lines because I didn't like. I watched He-Man as a kid, but I was really young, so I don't really remember it. So I had to like rewatch it. But yeah,
I'm looking forward to that.
by the power of Grayskull. That's now I forget. Like
It's all good.
I have the power. Yeah, it's
Before my time. I'm a
I
solid 10 years younger than you. So
Yeah.
Sorry, dude.
I got a request to do that from Alex. He Slavy Squat. I don't know.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, yeah. He sent me, he's like, He-Man, link of the costume. We'll figure it out. I'm like, all right. He's like, it's just perfect. You're Hooman. It's He-Man. Like, how do you not do that? I'm like, all right, you won. You won me
All right.
over.
I'll let Soap and Jared know that like they have to call you like
He-Man.
yeah, He-Man Rahimi. Ooh, that's a tough one.
That's tough. Yeah. He-Man. Yeah.
He-Man Rahimi. I like it.
Yeah.
Sick.
So
Dude,
we'll do something.
Well, I'm glad we got to do this. This is fun.
Yeah.
If nothing else, it basically just turned into you and I kind of catching up, which is great.
I don't know. How much drifting did we talk about?
Listen, it's a drifting podcast that just does not talk a lot about drifting, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm okay with that.
You want drifting? Come to FD, and then you'll see drifting.
No, and realistically, this show is to get people to meet and see you guys the way that I see you, and that's kind of how I like it. Is like,
Nice.
There's so many conversations that I get to have that are not public, and I think just to have those and have other people be able to kind of sit in and listen to the way that like you and I've been talking to each other since like 2018.
Yeah.
Is
it 2018 or before?
It might have been 2017.
Yeah.
So, but it's been a minute. It's definitely been a minute.
Yeah.
So that's what I like to do on these, and that's what's fun. Plus, like getting to dig through your history. Did you know that you went to high school with the lead singer of the band the Pink Spiders, Matt Friction? I don't know if that's his real last name.
Friction?
Friction. I don't think that's his real last name. He probably went by something else.
Was he the same year as me?
It would have been. I think he would have been a year or two behind you.
Oh man, I gotta look up who that is. I knew a Matt, but his name wasn't Friction.
Was he in a band? Was he a singer?
There was a lot of people in bands in my high school. I'm pretty sure this Matt was a musician.
Hume Fogg High School.
Yeah, Hume Fogg.
Hume Fogg.
Yeah, or Human Frog was the
Human Frog.
The joke, but yeah,
oldest high school in Nashville.
Dude,
Oldest
it's a castle.
public school in Nashville.
It's
I know
castle.
it's crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's
1855.
downtown. I used to go to lunch like downtown. Like I would walk to back when McDonald's had 55-cent hamburgers.
Damn.
We could walk to McDonald's, get like 10 hamburgers for $5.55. 55 hamburgers,
like
55 cheeseburgers, 55. No, you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
I think you should leave the guy, that meme. Oh man,
right,
you got to
right,
watch
right.
that. That's
Okay.
I love that. It's not for everyone. But
No, it's definitely not.
That shows.
I think You Should Leave is definitely the most uncomfortable laugh you'll ever have.
It is.
Dude, the
but I
hot
love
dog
it,
one,
man.
when he comes through the wall, you're like, who could have done this?
The guy, look, he's wearing a red. The guy in the red. Dude, his skits are so good. Like, oh man, he is my inspiration. Like, if I had more like time and budget, I would do like that level stuff.
Yeah, the driving crooner.
Like, yes, oh my god,
The driving crooner is so good. You're breaking the illusion. I got to figure out how to make money off of this. Oh, dude.
Yes. Oh man, or the
It's
old
so
guy.
Uncomfortable.
You like your mother-in-law? Like that guy. Like he likes his mother-in-law. He admitted it. Oh man, we do definitely in the hotel. That's like one of the like with my crew. That's one of the like late night, like if we're going to bed, and that's one of the things that gets popped on and just
Oh my god.
gets us to.
How do you sleep with that on?
It's like we pop it on, watch a couple, and then we're like, all right, time for It's like
That's so
it's
funny.
so good. Like it's just you
it's
can
so
keep
good.
laughing to it. I love that. I like the what's her name? Dang, I'm blanking on her name. It's the girl. No, I'm blanking on it.
Nothing's gone.
Yeah, it's gone. It's gone. But there's a girl that she has like she interviews people. It's on Netflix. God, I can't remember.
Oh, and she's like super awkward.
Yeah.
But not like Aubrey Plaza awkward.
No,
she's very
like
uncomfortable questions.
Yeah, and very like she makes the question super dumb. God, what is she's like British or something?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's like
I do very much like those type of interviews. Like I feel like Drift. Like if you're listening to this and you haven't gone back and watched like the Drift Idiot Driver on Driver series.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Yeah. Some of the funniest stuff ever is when Sam Nelvin was interviewing drivers.
Yeah. I've been trying to do, like, I want to do that stuff. It takes a lot of editing to do right and a lot of prep, like to really do it right. And I ended up, so one year I took a casting couch inflatable black couch.
I do remember this.
And I took it around to like a bunch of drivers and I would ask them questions like, okay, so how'd you get into this? Do your parents know? Like, how much do you make money doing this? How much do you make, and it's like, like, when was your first time? Like, does your girlfriend know you do this? Like, just ask them like super, like, if it was a porn casting thing, but like they're talking about drifting. And it was like golden content, but the freaking audio came out shit.
Oh,
so, like,
no way.
So I couldn't like do anything with it. It was like, damn it. Like, so I want to redo it sometime,
if you still have it, there are a lot of AI audio tools now that will recover stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need to try because it's like,
shoot me one of the files. Like shoot me one of them that's bad and I'll see if I can fix it or my audio engineer can fix it.
Yeah.
We might be able to recover that.
Yeah. The framing was also a little, it was like just a lot of like, it wasn't shot like
that could
really
make it better though if you lean into it. Well, like like if you watch like Between Two Ferns, I'm assuming
oh god, yes,
dude, like they would misfocus in that all the time, and I'm like, what is that? Like why?
But that's my dream is just filming that kind of shit. Like I really like want to do more of that because like I need to watch. I've never actually seen the Drift Idiot stuff, so I might watch some of that.
Dude, go watch. Driver on Driver with Sam Nelvin. His one with James Dean. Yeah, I won't spoil it, but
okay,
bro, it's so funny. He did Kristaps, Ryan. Like, I wish I could do a character like that. Like, I there's a blessing and a curse in doing something like that because. Knowing Sam personally, like that's not, he's very dry, but he's not like that. He's not an asshole.
Yeah.
But in these interviews, he looks like the biggest dick you've ever seen. And you're like,
that's the thing is they don't know you. They might think you're, it's like, so.
Right. But I feel like enough people know me now that if I were to do that, they'd be like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like this makes no sense now.
This guy, it's like that girl that's on like every Instagram now. I don't know her name, but she was interviewing, Dua Lipa, and she was saying like she's a musician and magician.
Oh, yeah.
And then she was like with like in bed with that one.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, that's the girl I was thinking of originally.
Yeah. She's like new. Like she's just like in like every celebrity thing ever. It's just like shows up on like every feed that I don't know how, but like algorithms.
Have you ever seen any interviews with Nardwuar?
I don't know that one. Nardwuar.
Okay, Nardwuar. Nardwuar's a Canadian music interviewer, like known in like the rap and R&B industry as well. But he does like obsessive levels of research, like God levels of research, and finds shit. Yeah. Like he's finding like rappers, like whatever their name was in high school, like whatever they went by in high school, and like that dude's been like my inspiration for some of the shit on this show. And
so it's like a next level Ali G.
Yeah, very like, but not funny. Like he's wacky, like he's kind of kooky.
Yeah,
but like you just realize like that's who he is as a human being. He's just a very weird human.
Yeah,
but he's so genuine and like absolutely loves that he's interviewing these people. Especially like I know you like rap and R&B. Like go and watch some of his interviews with people, and you're like, you'll see them. Like his entire goal is to get them to go like, how the hell did you figure that out?
Yeah.
Like it's wild.
I need to watch that. Nardwuar, like Nardwuar.
Nardwuar, the human serviette is what it's called.
Oh my god. Okay. I will look that up. No, I'm gonna focus. Like that's my plan in Utah is to try to get some like good driver like funny videos if I can. Like if there's a good segue and
I think
quiet spot.
It's
That's my
needed.
goal.
It's
Yeah.
needed.
Yeah.
It's 100% needed.
I will do it, and then you will watch it. I'm looking at the fan. That's the fans are in that
That's
corner.
the fan. They're over there.
They're over there. Because you're over here on my screen. You're on the
Okay.
right, and they're on the
Okay.
left. You know, so yeah. So no, I started because I don't know if you saw my Nashville asking people questions about cars.
I do remember seeing
I did
that.
like
yeah.
some I did like $1 prize, and like I was trying to do stuff
Like a man
that.
on the street stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just started there, and like it's fun to do, but it's like figuring out the algorithms, man. It's like really
Didn't you
hard.
ask people, like, do you know who Hooman Rahimi is? Like, you were like asking them who you were.
I think I did that at FD. I was like, what do you think that Hooman Rahimi driver, you know, is like, you know, and they're just like, who the fuck is that? I'm like, it's me, God damn it. So yeah, I tried really hard. They failed.
It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good. Well, you let me know if I can help in any way. I'm more than
For
happy
sure.
to, because that's
All right.
it's.
It'll be fun.
I don't know. You have a level of comedy that's so underappreciated, and I hope more
that's
people
my
get to see.
secret life. Is I really do want to be a comedian one day. Like not like legit. Like I don't want it to be my job, but I
Yeah.
just want to like accomplish stand-up comedy, but like just like one set, like like
do
I
it
want that
once.
standing ovation from Lonnie's, you know, just one time, but like for comedian. Like that's what I want to attain that one day. Like, and I've been thinking about like doing like a drift skit, you know, and just like filming it for YouTube or for Instagram, like just where drift people would get it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, man, maybe that's narrowing my audience too small, you know, and then people.
You could do like the stereotypes of drifters.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that's it. Like it's like, you know, it's like, you know, your friends are always like they're dooring you, and you're like 10 miles away when you look at the picture, and you're like, you know, it's like big news coming. I got this big sponsor signed up, and you go talk to them, and they're like, yeah, I got 10% off, bro. And it's like, come on, man.
I think
big
yeah.
news.
That'd be good. Yeah, the guy who's like, oh man, I was tandeming it so hard. Yeah, and it's like,
And
the
you
gap's,
go on, you're
massive.
like, dude, you weren't even in the like. It's like, oh, bro, I adored you back there. You were, you know, like and like jokingly, like I'll take my 370Z to like fun events, and people are like, dude, I was like on your door the whole time, and it's like, yeah, you drove like straight and cut the like,
yeah,
cool, like, and then the funny thing about that though, like, dooring someone. Some people think it's like you're out driving them, and it's like, no, like that's your job is to door. Like I'm putting on a good lead line for you, and I want you to door me.
Inviting
like,
you in,
I,
yeah.
I want you to match my door and be right on my door. That doesn't make you like you didn't beat me or like out drive me because I gave you a good lead line. You know what I mean? Like it's like almost like they're like.
Yeah.
Sometimes people think that way. Yeah.
In the same way as like, oh, I was just gapping people all weekend. I'm like,
Yeah.
that sounds like shit.
Yeah.
Like, cool. Like you just got it. You took out angle and cut the
Yeah.
line, and cool. You got ahead of all your friends. Great time.
Have you seen the drift takes like Instagram where you call in, like you do a call in radio? So there's this thing I've been so meaning to make one, but I keep putting it off because I feel like I'm gonna sound like an asshole, and I don't want I'm so like I don't want it to come off as an asshole, but like I want to call in and like leave like, you know, one of those voicemails. It's like it's really good. You should look it up. That guy, that shit's it's hilarious.
Okay, I'm looking that up.
Yeah, drift takes. He's funny. That thing.
Yeah,
it's just like people calling in, and then he like cuts it to like video, and it sounds like it's recorded on a like cassette, you know, voicemail. It's good.
I'm gonna have to try that.
Yeah.
I got a few things I could throw out there. The problem is like everyone will know it's me.
You can leave it anonymously.
No, I can't.
Yeah, well, that's but I think he pitches the voice if you want, you know. So,
yeah, you're gonna have to because
it's like. But I want to leave it like with my own voice. I don't care, you know. Like I want to like just do it because it's funny. But I haven't. Yeah. I haven't pulled the trigger yet.
I feel like there's a few things I could do that like would be funny coming from me.
Yeah.
Just from where I stand in the community, I think it'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely looking that up.
Do it. I'm gonna do it soon. I keep telling him I'm gonna do it, and he's like, "Did you do it yet?" I'm like, "I'm gonna do it." I just put it off. I put it off because I'm like, I don't know, man. Sometimes like, you know, when you think like I have my idea and I'm like, it's good, but it's not perfect. you know, and I'm like, oh, I'm one of those, like, if I'm not like fully feeling it, I'm like, let me think a little bit harder because I want it to hit, you know, like I want it to be my best.
That's how I am, like, responding to people who shit on me on the internet. We're like,
do you read all the comments?
I read a lot of them. I do.
Yeah.
I very much read a lot of them.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say all of them because,
Yeah.
you know, I'm sure there's some that get by, but like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to take the job very seriously.
Sure. Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
like,
So you can't respond to some.
Yeah.
Of them.
But also, like, I look at some of the criticism that's come across about what I do, and I want to be like, oh, no, that's a legitimate criticism. I need to fix that.
Yeah.
And then every once in a while, somebody will say something that I'm like, you're just an idiot. Like,
you want to say it, but like sometimes it's nicer when someone else says it for you.
well,
You know?
and
And then you're like,
yeah.
all right, thanks. Like that
someone's complaining I talk too much, and I'm like, okay. Do you want dead air or more commercials? Your choice. Like, what?
So I did the Circle of Podcast.
Yeah.
And there was like one of the clips went viral. It got like 1 million views and it got shit ton of comments. And I started reading them and most of them were actually like pretty positive. But there was like one that was like an undercover like jab. It's like, man, because it was like a clip of me saying, I told my tuner to just cap it at 15 PSI because I only wanted 850 horsepower I don't want any more, you know?
Yeah.
And that was like legit. And they were like, low key, this guy's telling the truth because look, he's just wearing a polo and those glasses. Like no one wearing that shit would lie about that. like that was the comment. I was like, that's so good. Like, all right. Because like typically the guy be wearing like some Nas jersey, you know, just something like, and I'm like, fuck, like that's like a low key, but like, is that a compliment? Not a.
I don't know how to feel.
Yeah, he's telling me I'm telling the truth, but like, you know, so
I remember.
That one I always remember that one.
The one comment, it was when the podcast first aired, and I think it was like 6 episodes in, and someone left a comment. It's like, bro, it's been 5 episodes. This dude still hasn't cleared his throat. And I'm like, it was like,
that's pretty good.
It was good. Those I don't mind. I really don't mind when people do that. Like if you want a good, like if you've got a good funny jab, I'm all for it.
Yeah, it's like in jest. That's the thing. It's in jest. Like so I'll post like BMWs are ugly in jest. I don't know if you've seen some of those, but like I post those and like sometimes people are like, but I drive a BMW. I'm like, dude, like I drive a BMW too. That's my daily. Like, I get it, but they're ugly. Like, sorry. Like they just don't look like sports cars. They look like family sedans. That's just what they are. It's cool. Yeah. They're fun to drive, but like they're not like sporty cars. You have to make them look kind of sporty at best. Yeah.
It's a corporate car. Like it's that's what they were built for. They're built for lawyers and and they're perfect for that.
So I don't know if you saw, I got like a viral video recently where I went to the BMW experience.
Okay.
So it was like driving M2s, electric ones, not M2, sorry, 2 series or electric, one of those 4 series, 2 series, like a 4-door small sedan. And it was like a driving course in a parking lot. So I get in, they're supposed to get 3 laps. And I will preface this by saying, in my head, I was going to do something by the end of it. I was like, I'm going to try to get this thing sideways towards the end, but let me just get like a lap or 2 so the guy's not like yelling at me. 1 lap in, the guy stops me, jerks the wheel. He's like, you're done. And I'm like, what? Like, he's like, you were jerking and like you were just driving, you know, braking too hard and this and that. And you're not listening to me because he was like, slow down here. So, and I was like driving like, you know, as fast as I could through the track. So I post this video. I'm like, this is me. This is the run that got me kicked out of BMW experience. And it looks like like nothing. Like literally you watching, you're like expecting like me to be going and doing crazy. And then this like one guy comments is like, you got kicked out because you were jerking the steering wheel. I could see, you know, like you were erratic driving. I would kick you out too. I'm like, what video? Like that one pissed me off a little bit, but I didn't respond to it. I was just like, come on.
What? One got me recently. I know this will just invite. I feel like anybody who's made it this far in this podcast is probably like supportive.
Yeah.
And if you're not, then whatever. If you're listening
heart?
this
You know,
long,
like-
yeah. If you truly hate me and listen to me this long, I've won. So
Yeah.
whatever.
It's like join us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But someone put out a comment. They're like, you really have to stop talking about the technical aspects of the sport. You know nothing about it. You get all these things wrong all the time. And I was like, okay, interesting. Because at first I'm like, you know, like you question your knowledge, right? Where you're like, do I actually not know what the hell I'm talking about? And
Am
I'm
I
like,
wrong?
yeah. And I'm like, so I comment back. I'm like, hey, leave me like a timestamp of when I did this.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Because like if I screwed up.
Because you want to know, right? 100%.
Yeah. And I've had a few drivers like bring to my attention, like me saying something incorrect on the stream.
Yeah.
I've taken it very seriously. I've made notes. I did it. An example is like Orlando this year. I talked about a decel that wasn't actually active this year, but it's been active years previous.
Right.
And I defaulted back to years previous instead of this year.
Yeah,
my own fault. I screwed up, right?
Yeah.
I apologize to the driver, whatever. So the guy like brings up something technical that like is researchably correct. Like I stated something about a mechanical aspect of a car that is like, you just have to Google it. That's
it's
it.
right.
And it's right there. And it's like,
okay.
And I'm like, oh no, I'm good. And then I was like further validated, and I'm like stroking my own ego here.
Yeah.
When Ben blew his transmission in St. Louis, and I was like, they pull into the pits, and I immediately knew what had happened.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, they're re-gearing the car. He lost a gear. He probably lost third.
Yeah.
Based on everything else.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like someone else like left, like they utilized that. They're like, he wouldn't run this gear, that gear. And like, I'm like, and I said like, oh, you would have to run a taller gear in order
They
to
don't
do
even
this.
know it has a quick change. That guy
Right.
definitely, they didn't, that's.
And then sure as shit, I'm in the airport with Ben and I'm like, hey, this is kind of bugging me. Did I get this right? He's like, oh, you nailed it. That's exactly what I'm like.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, you're right. Thank you.
All right, hold on. Say that again. Record it. Post it. You know, in the video response in that comment. Like,
yeah,
here you go.
Like, and I know I'm gonna get shit wrong.
Oh, for
100%.
It's
I'm
really
gonna get
hard.
stuff
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah,
You know,
So.
I
would say like genuinely like when you comment, it's like a different perspective that we haven't had in the past, like kind of more technical, and I enjoy it. And I think it explains stuff to the fans that may not, know it sometimes. And that's good. Like, I think that's good for the sport. Like, like some people don't realize how these cars work and what all is going on and all these extra, like people don't know what a quick change is. We could say quick change 100 times and they don't know what that means. Like it's, if you don't know what a quick change is, how by the word quick change, that could mean 1,000 things. It could mean it's just fast to change out your differential if it breaks. Like, you don't know what that means. Like, you don't know it's changing the gearing on your rear end. Like,
yeah, it's so hard because like we're around it all the time.
Yeah,
but like
100%.
in order to make the sport more accessible, we need to educate the new fan. Like everyone gets mad at the new fans asking dumb questions. I'm like, then just teach them. And they won't ask again. And sometimes, you have to explain yourself 100 times and it gets really annoying. But by like being an asshole to them, that doesn't help the sport grow.
No. And that's what like I make a point when someone asks me something to go and give them the explanation, even if it's like sometimes, like I've had people come to me with crazy stuff. Like, I want to build this, like, I don't even know, like El Camino as a drift car. And I'm like, dude, one, I don't know anything. Like, I'm not going to give you good advice on that. But I'll tell you, like, if you've never drifted before, don't start there. Like, like I try to educate them of why that's complicated and stuff. Now somebody in the comments will be like, but I have an El Camino that drifts, like, I'm like, cool. Yes, you can do it. But, and it's like stuff like that. And it's like, I know when I was starting out and I actually like saw the other side of this where I was posting like questions in the forums, because that's how you would get information. And sometimes I would get like railed, it's like, this idiot's, I remember asking like, what do I need to do a steering wheel that removes? Like, I was just asking, and they're like, you don't know this shit, And I'm like, dude, I don't no, I don't. That's why I'm here. Like, I'm asking these questions because
Did you even use the search function?
Yeah. It's like, oh, look at, it's like, yeah, but I'm kind of like trying to get updated information of what's good parts. Cause like sometimes you find out like
And back then, like budget was a big, I didn't want to buy something and be wrong. You want to buy it once and be done. So like I would ask questions like, what's a good clutch? Like, I mean, there was reasons like my first clutch in my 350Z was an OS Geiken clutch, which was like $2,000. Like I bought it because I knew it was solid and it was going to last me. And it lasted me all a Pro-Am and in my G35 sedan, like bash car for many years. So like it lasted a like crazy long time, but it was because I like wanted to spend the money one time, like that was important to me. But people sometimes like, I remember, I will say without naming names, my first drift event ever, I was like yelled at because I asked, where do I park my trailer? And like, how do I like, they're like, this guy doesn't know where to park the trailer. Like he's showing up. And I showed up at like 8:30. The driver's meeting was at 9, like, so in my head, I was like, I got 30 minutes to unload the car. It was like stock 350Z. Pull it out. I'm done. Like everyone else is wrenching. I'm like, no, dude, like, what am I going to do?
We're good. Yeah.
And this guy's like yelling at me. I'm like, that's the first impression I got of like Pro-Am. Like, come on. Like, that's not.
I feel like I know who it is.
Yeah,
but anyways.
But it's like, come on. Like, that's the kind of shit that pushes people away. That's the stupid shit you shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
Like, be friend. Like someone doesn't know what they're doing. Educate them. Tell them, hey, like you should be early to these things because, there's a traffic jam and like you got to get your pit spot or, educate me why like I need to be early when it's your first, like my first fucking event. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Sorry, dropped the F-bomb, but
you dropped a few. It's fine. We're good.
Yeah. It's, I don't, yeah.
It
comes out sometimes.
No, I agree.
Yeah. It's just like, be friendly,
Well, and if you think somebody's an idiot, it's free to ignore them. Yeah. Like why
Also,
you're spending more energy to shit on them than you are to just ignore them. Like, I get stupid stuff sent to me constantly. And a lot of the times I will take the time to like explain something. Sure. I've had people message me about battles and I mean, my response that I want to put is like, just read the rule book and you'll understand.
Right.
Like, that's it. Like, I don't, but also I'm like, okay, I'll take the time. There are dumb questions that have come across. I just don't even, I don't even open it. I'm like, this is not, I don't have, the mental fortitude or the crayons to explain this to you right now.
I'm surprised. I did a Ask a Driver a Question like broadcast channel.
Yeah, I think I'm in it.
Yeah. I didn't like. I was expecting like some really stupid like.
There was some good stuff in there.
Yeah, people asked like good questions. Like, okay, yeah, like I'll keep doing this as long as like I can like until it gets too many questions. But like. It's been like just kind of like a little steady group. And because I was thinking like people send me these kinds of questions all the time. And then I answer that one person. And I'm like, I wish everyone could read that answer because I get that question over and over. So now it's like kind of there forever.
Might have to do that. Might steal that idea from you.
Yeah, it's like, it's cool. I wish you could have people chat in the channel so that it and be like approve the question or something, but they don't let followers in the channel, so they have to DM you and then I have to screenshot it. So I've been screenshotting it and bring it over. But yeah, if anyone wants to ask me a question, come to my Instagram, shoot me a DM. I've answered every single one I got, even ones that were like personal. So,
now I'm definitely digging through that.
Yeah.
But,
so.
Sick, dude. Well, as much as I want to keep going, I was going to like wrap it up like before 2 hours, like 2.5 in.
Shit.
I love it. Nah, it's fine. It's fine. This is good.
All right. My bad, guys.
I'm starving. That's the biggest thing. I also
go
threw my back out playing hockey today. So I'm
fake
like,
Persian food.
Oh, here we go. I'll take a picture.
Yeah.
The rice is good. We're good. Yeah.
Basmati or no?
No, it's saffron rice.
Oh, okay. Well, saffron isn't the type of rice. That's the
ingredient
that goes on the rice.
I believe the rice grain is jasmine, if I'm not mistaken.
Jasmine, okay. Yeah, that's the other one that most people do. But basmati
basmati or jasmine.
That's the way to go.
Little more floral in jasmine. Basmati's good.
If you ever, next time you go to Atlanta, that's one of the best Persian restaurants in
really
in America that I've been to. So Rumi's Kitchen. It's pretty
interesting.
Yeah.
So, I will let you know. I might be driving.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're gonna.
There.
Yeah, you'll pass.
Depends on where
it's really good. Yeah, it's Midtown. So.
Ooh, I'm not taking a truck and trailer to there.
Yeah, I did. I did. I took it and then Ubered like nearby. Like I had to park in a
that's
sketchy
a good idea.
neighborhood.
I like. Yeah, that's
it was sketchy, but
But
it's worth it. The food's so good. So.
Well, sir, I appreciate your time. Glad we got to do this.
Thanks, man. Thanks for
anybody
having me
listening
on.
or watching, watch it for Hooman stuff. Make him go viral. Go click the links,
Yeah,
more
click some
pranks to
stuff,
come.
follow some stuff, ask me some questions.
Yeah, please do. Thanks again, dude. I will see you in a couple of weeks. And should be a good time.
All right, thanks.